ESPNU kicked off its inaugural football season in 2005 with some unforgettable moments.
This is going to the house in the other direction.
The Citadel leads Florida State. What a stunner.
How sweet it is.
The University of South Florida gets it done and gets it done in a big way.
Still on his feet. Are you kidding me? Wow.
And he's going to take it all the way for a UConn touchdown.
Unbelievable. Randolph going to the corner of the end zone. And it's a touchdown.
ESPNU kicks off the 2006 college football season from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, next. What would college football be like without tailgating? And they're primed and ready for football action 2006. Tuskegee fans traveling 2 hours for their team's season opener in Tuscaloosa. We're on the campus of Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for this matchup between these two SIAC schools. Hello, everyone. Along with Charles R. Buckle, I'm Charlie Neal. Welcome to Tuscaloosa and ESPNU's 2006 college football season. And, Charles, an opportunity for these young men who've been in camp the last couple of weeks to hit somebody other than their own teammates.
Charlie, it's like us. We're tired of talking to each other, and we don't want to hit each other. We want to see two teams get after it, and I think you're going to see that today. It's a lot at stake for both of these conference teams, and I think you're going to see a nice matchup right off the bat.
Both of these teams feature great quarterbacks. In fact, the top two quarterbacks in the SIAC, starting with Kevin Huff, last year's SIAC Player of the Year.
Well, some of the reason why he's so successful, Charlie, is his ability to get the ball down the field. He's got a great arm, but he had some things to work on. They brought in Damian Craig to be the quarterback's coach. He didn't have that over his last 3 years. He took it very well. He understands in order to be better, he has to work on those little things, footwork, shoulder level, all of the things that make him a better quarterback.
Stillman will go with Charles McCollum, a young man who himself would like to be Player of the Year in the conference this year.
Had a chance when he was younger to play at FAMU. He transferred here to Stillman and has had an outstanding career. Now he has a chance with Derek Rogers being back in the backfield. 2 years ago, Derek Rogers was outstanding. I think that's going to help Charles McCollum.
Both of these teams feature new head coaches. For Willie Slater over at Tuskegee, maybe a little more pressure on him because the Golden Tigers have been picked not only to finish second, but they were 11-1 a year ago.
Well, they also have 7 black national championships, so it made him wake up at 7:30 this morning. He was a little nervous. First-time head coach. Has been in the league, been coaching 26 years. However, you look at the other side, Greg Thompson, even though this is his first chance here as a head coach with Stillman, he was the offensive coordinator here last year, so he has a better chance and better understanding of his team.
It is just the second time these two teams have met. Tuskegee won by 12 a year ago. We'll be back with the opening kickoff from Tuscaloosa, Alabama in just a moment. ESPNU College Football is presented by Allstate. Are you in good hands? If there's anything that people may be looking at closely today is the play of this young man, Atron Jackson, from Tuskegee University, defensive tackle, a senior out of Columbus, Georgia. 46 tackles and 4 sacks in a preseason first team All-SIAC a year ago. And let's look at the keys to the game, Charles.
Well, if you look at Tuskegee, keep Huff alive. Let him do his magic. Last year, he struggled here. He needs to play better. Stillman, don't believe the hype. You have all the things working for you. Tuskegee has a great team. Had a chance, they felt like last year, to beat them. And their offensive line, they must play well to give McCollum an opportunity to make big plays today, Charlie.
And if it came down to the kicking game, you'd have to give the edge, as you look at Greg Thompson there, to Roosevelt Echeverry and Tuskegee, because he is the man who's done a great job for them over the years.
Yeah. Well, when you look at kicking game, but the return game, you see two outstanding guys right now, Brian Witherspoon and Denate Hurd.
And there you see Mr. Echeverry last year. He was born on Christmas Day. He's out of Montgomery, Alabama, and he's in grad school. Man who's gotten his degree already, but still had a year of eligibility left, and he's back kicking for Tuskegee, and he'll kick it off to start this 2006 college football season right here on ESPNU. Denate Hurd, Man on the right is coming down to Hurd. He picks it up at the 5-yard line, across the 15, and out to the 26, 27-yard line goes Nate Hurd. And Hurd, of course, has done a lot of good things. He had a 95-yard kickoff return a year ago against Tuskegee.
Well, you got to worry about both of these guys. You can't really kick away from either one of them. But let's see Charles McCullum, an opportunity to see him, the 6'3", 205 junior. Good player, and they want him to be even better. I think the running game is going to be the key for them to be better.
And the second back in the eye is Rogers. And here's Rogers trying to turn the corner, and a good tackle made defensively down there. As we look at the Dick's Sporting Goods starting lineups, there you see for Stillman, the backs, Rogers, Harris, Marcus Bryant, Jason Mims, and Philip Bryant, the Bryant brothers at the wide receiver spot. 53 receptions between them a year ago. Here's the offensive line led by Devon Walker, Johnny Jackson, Darrell Guidry, Ronnie Graham, and Bradley Berry. Of course, out of the lineup today is Chris Heimel. He has a meniscus problem with his left knee. And again, the handoff to the back coming out of the backfield. This time Michael Dawson gets the call, the freshman out of Fairfield, Alabama. As we look at the defense for Tuskegee, led by Atron Jackson, the defensive tackle. He'll be joined up front by Kareem Anderson, Jarvis Devon, and Chris McNair. Here are the linebackers: Brian King, Darren Putney, and Jonathan Hall. And the secondary: Jared Simpson, Lee Smith, Andrew Bailey, and Terrence Stringer. 3rd down and 7. Dawson, the second back in the eye. And we may have delay of game.
Well, you'll have also, too, Marcus Bryant was too quick.
Number 3, offense. Repeat it down.
Greg Edwards, our referee.
You know, Charlie, that's the one area you struggle with the first game of the season. And as a head coach, you know, and talking to Greg Thompson, he was saying, hey, I want our guys to be more organized, more disciplined. As a receiver, you can't be offsides. You can see the ball.
Yeah. And this is a team, this Stillman team, that averaged over 100 yards in penalties per game a year ago, something they'd like to diminish in terms of those numbers. It is still 3rd down, 3rd and 12 now. McCullum in a passing down. Short drop, throws. Complete on the far sideline, and Marcus Bryant gets it out of bounds and picks up the first down across the 40 to about the 42-yard line. So Marcus Bryant, the senior out of Akron, Alabama, with his 55th career reception.
Well, it was a nice play also, too. On a short pass and a short route, he's able to get outside of contain. Lee Smith is supposed to keep him inside, but Marcus Bryant, with all that speed and ability, a short catch, but a long run. It shouldn't have happened, though. Arthur Harris moved on that play, and the Tuskegee defense was saying he was a false start.
But the officials didn't see it, so that's all that matters, right? Jason Mims to the top. Down to the bottom of the screen is Marcus Bryant. And we have movement again.
Hey, but you know what? I like the fact that Chris McCullum goes right over and hits Devon Waller on the head.
So the second illegal procedure penalty against Stillman in this game.
The second they saw. The third that actually happened. but so much movement. And this is the first game. You always have that, but as a coach, you can tell he's boiling. Coach Thompson now has really got to be frustrated when his guys hurt themselves.
1st down and 15. McCullum under pressure. Decides he's going to run, and he's down the sideline and steps out of bounds across midfield, and very close to another 1st down for the Tigers of Stillman.
Flag on the play.
May come back.
May come back, but you see, he has time, and when he figures out, he's telling his receivers where to go. He's got Antoine Jackson trying to chase him. He moves down so easily and effortlessly.
One of the things in talking to, as we listen to our referee here, Greg Edwards.
Holding, 43, offense, 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 1st down.
Might have been 34 instead of 43. Might have been the fullback, Harris. But what I was going to say was, a year ago, It is 43.
There's a holding. Antoine Autry.
Yeah.
Holding right there. And, you know, you got to keep your hands inside. If you get them out like that and exposed, the officials see that. That's a pretty obvious call.
They were talking about the fact of trying to keep Charles McCollum from having happy feet. But, of course, he had to run that time because he didn't have any receivers open. So it's 1st and 20. Now he's going to take off again up the middle, and he's tripped up right at about the 35, 37-yard line.
You know, the one thing I see right away, too, Charlie, is that they put the 2 tackles on the same side, Devon Waller and Bradley Berry, together to neutralize Antron Jackson. You see, he rushes the ball very well, and he's effective in open field. But they still want him to use his receivers better. And I know who's lobbying for the ball real hard, and I would be if I were him, is Phillip Bryant. Tight ends are always looking for catches.
You know that better than anyone, right? A young offensive line for Stillman. Here's the pass across the middle to Bryant. Marcus Bryant with his 2nd reception of the afternoon, and he's up to about the 47-yard line.
He does a very good job when he catches the ball in space. You know, space guys. And McCollum comes up, steps up into the pocket, and watch right here. Look at this move. He's gone. Actually, he could have gotten really hit hard, but what he was able to do is he saw the defender in front of him, spins off almost like a basketball spin move, TJ Ford style or somebody, but he gets down the field very quickly after he catches the football.
It is 3rd down and 5. Remember, they picked up the 1st down, but then the penalty of holding brought the ball back. And under pressure, here goes McCollum running for the 1st down marker. Looks like he should have it as he's out of bounds at the 45 of Tuskegee.
You know, Charlie, I asked Reginald Ruffin, the defensive coordinator, before the game, how did you prepare for a guy like McCollum? He said, well, Huff is our best person. He said, we go a lot of one-on-one. The first team offense versus the first team defense, and that allowed them to see how that works. I mean, he really got a chance to see how guys would play and where they would be positioned. And I think that's what you're seeing with McCollum now. He's able to get in open space, and if you don't get him quickly, he's going to make some moves on him.
So the Stillman Tigers, a very impressive opening drive. Despite 3 penalties, 2 illegal procedures and a holding, have moved down to the 35. Make that the 45, rather, of Tuskegee. And they keep it on the ground and not much running room there for Dawson.
I think Dawson got a chance to come in pretty quickly because that first play, Derek Rogers lost about 3 yards, really wasn't running hard. He came right out, and ever since that play, he hadn't been in consistently. They want to see Michael Dawson.
Yeah.
They want to see how he can play, a freshman, but they say he has a lot of ability out of Fairfield, Alabama.
You see Greg Thompson there, with the offensive coordinator for 2 years. He formerly the head coach at Morris Brown, and when he got the job, the president told him, look, this is not going to be a long-term building process. This honeymoon is going to be quick. Here's Dawson. A little move to the outside. Looked a little bit like Reggie Bush there, didn't he? On that move.
You blink your eyes. Hey, he's one of those guys that is a walk-in closet kind of guy. You put him in a 7-by-7 room, he'll get out, you know, and untouched. You watch him right here, good blocking out front, but it's his ability. He almost falls, but he's still able to turn it up and split the defenders. You hear a lot of coaches talking about splitting the defenders. It wasn't a long run, but it was nice for him. That's his early highlight film for college.
3rd and 10. From the eye. Going down the field. Has a man out there that's caught for 1st down, Kenneth Brown. They were high school teammates at Frederick Douglass High in Atlanta. That is McCollum and Kenneth Brown. Kenneth Brown actually was at Florida A&M with McCollum, but he didn't play. McCollum did.
Well, this is a nice play, and I tell you, McCollum puts the ball where it's supposed to be, but also you can see the chemistry between those 2 guys. You know, Keith Van Bell, the running backs coach, has a lot to do with this offense as well. He coached both of those guys in high school, and that's why after they were at FAMU, they decided to come to Stillman to follow him.
34 yards on the catch, and the pass play to Brown. This time it's Rogers back in the lineup from the 11-yard line, and he gets it inside the 10 to about the 9, and they're saying fumble. There's the Tuskegee saying there was a fumble and they recovered, but the officials say otherwise, and they're the ones that count.
Well, yeah, they are. And Charlie, that's 2 runs that we've seen Derek Rogers where he hasn't run the ball, I don't think, as hard as he can, still favoring it. You know, he didn't play well last year, injured quite a bit last year.
He had a knee injury,
They need him to come back strong, and that's why they want to see him. They thought spring ball and then fall camp, he played very, very well.
He only played in 5 games last year before getting injured. Set out the rest of the season. And here's a play action again. Here's McCullum. Throws a bullet. And it's caught for a touchdown by Philip Bryant.
Well, Charlie, I lobbied for the tight end to catch a ball. And I didn't know when it was going to come. Philip Bryant, 3 touchdowns last year. The first touchdown on the year for Stillman coming from Philip. Now, his brother Marcus did the job of getting the ball down the field along with Kenneth Brown. But down in the red zone, it's always nice to have a nice tight end to throw to.
For the point after. Obradovich, his first, a freshman, point after attempt, and it's no good, but it's a 6-0 ball game right here in the first quarter. And what a bullet by McCullum, and great hands by the tight end Philip Bryant from Akron, Alabama. 6-0 Stillman on top of Tuskegee. Nothing our score here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Stillman driving all the way down the field on their opening drive for the touchdown. You're watching ESPNU College Football presented by Allstate, and here's McCullum with the touchdown pass.
Well, nice off the play action pass and the bootleg, and he's getting over to the side, the ability to move around. You have that tight end coming in that space, getting open, sitting down, and McCullum finding him. Those 11 plays, Charlie, that makes a difference. If you're Stillman on defense, to stop them and get the ball after 3, that is the worst thing for that Tuskegee defense.
11 play drive. I mean, yeah. And it was highlighted by 3 penalties that pushed them back at inopportune times, and they were still able to take advantage of it. That's the adversity you want to know if your team has, or the ability to face adversity the first game of the season. Obradovich to kick it off, his first collegiate kickoff. He missed the extra point from the 9-yard line. Tuskegee getting the ball. Here's a return up the right sideline and out of bounds at about the 42-yard line for Tuskegee. On the return was Aishawn Jackson.
By number 85, Austin Jackson.
Good return right there.
Brings the ball out to the 43-yard line.
He was able to find an opening and had people chasing him, but still able to get down the field and not worry about the kickoff team.
There you look at the quarterback, Kevin Huff, out of Tampa, Florida. Working from the shotgun on first down. Fitzhugh is the back beside of him. Going to the air on first down, has it complete in the middle of the field up to the 45, make it the 35. And completion is to Sean Bailey up to the 35 of Stillman College. Richard Fitzhugh, Jason Finley, John Thomas, Sean Bailey, and Stanley Reed are the backs and receivers, the up front people doing the blocking and keeping things in perspective. Larry Peoples, Anthony Driver, Danny Daniels, along with Kevin Jones, and those lineups presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. 1st and 10 at the 35 of Stillman. Huff back to pass, complete, gain of about 4 yards, a short gain, and this again is Sean Bailey on the reception. Witherspoon on the stop defensively. And the Dick's Sporting Goods lineups for Stillman: Brandon Johnson, Irvin McGuire, Chandler Blakely, and Sammy Hill. The down lineman, and Sean Glenn is in the lineup at linebacker, along with Harvey Logan and Larry Albert. Maybe the fastest secondary in all of black college football, and that is Nate Hurd, Devion McCoy, Jamal Harden, and Brian Witherspoon. It is 2nd down, 2nd and 6. First handoff, Fitzhugh Fitzhugh's running over people and down to the 22-yard line. Richard Fitzhugh, the junior out of Woodson High in Washington, D.C. Larry Albert making the stop defensively.
Well, Fitzhugh is not only a good football player, but he's very smart, Charlie. Number 9 in his high school class. Happened to go to the same high school as Byron Leftwich, Woodson in D.C. But, hey, he showed some very strong ability there. He's a mechanical engineering major. I'm sure he'll go back to class and they'll say, hey, we like that first run.
1,127 career yards here at Tuskegee to go along with 11 touchdowns, and he's in the backfield beside Kevin Huff, the quarterback. High snap over the quarterback's head, and he just has to dive on it and lose his yards all the way back to the 40.
You know, that's the one thing you worry about in the shotgun, the ability for the center to always be consistent, and sometimes that doesn't happen. And when it doesn't, it can be very, very bad for you. You know, you have to have your center snapping the ball in a consistent manner. And right there, Kevin Huff tries to get it and pick it up, but he does the wise thing in falling on it before.
Courtney Covington was
getting there.
He had 6 written on it. He was looking to go to the end zone.
You know, if you're offensive lineman, too, you normally don't get your name called. And Danny Daniels usually probably gets very good praise. But right there, he's thinking, man, why did I have to do that?
When you talk about Danny Daniels, he's a redshirt freshman and now timeout's being called by Huff, but he's replacing an all SIAC center in Robert Bailey. So, you know, you're going to have those mistakes early on in the season, unfortunately. So a timeout called by Kevin Huff. And you look at this Tuskegee team and you talk about the offensive line, and we talked about the fact that Robert Bailey is gone. They have 3 new starters on that offensive line, and that can create some issues for them.
It can, but the one good thing is the consistency of what they've had, and I think they've kept it. Both teams have said, look, you know, we have new head coaches, but we kept basically the same thing intact. But you also have to look at Kevin Huff losing Kenneth Henderson. Last year, the first play from scrimmage was a 74-yard pass play by those 2 guys. And Willie Slater there has come in, and he's also instilled, hey, we can throw the ball, we can run the ball, I want to have balance. But he said, hey, you know, all those places he's been, Charlie, out of all of them, he said Kevin Huff is by far the best quarterback I've ever coached.
And that's saying quite a bit. That's saying quite a bit, because he was a quarterback of note in his own right at West Alabama.
Well, and he just said, he listed guys on, and he said, this guy, Charles, is unbelievable in what he can do. And he's still learning the game. That's the beautiful thing about it. But he comes from a coaching background. His dad is a coach, so he understands the game as well as anybody.
Last 2 seasons, 5,019 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. He's also run for 19 touchdowns, and he throws it out of the backfield this time. On the reception, coming up is Jason English. English out of Mobile, Alabama. Did not play last year. And so far, 2 years ago, he caught 5 passes.
You know what I like what they're doing already? What they're already doing, if you're Tuskegee, is you know they're going to be coming with man. They come with a lot of pressure, so you always look for the open guy. Huff is finding them, and you have more open space and man coverage. So you can catch the ball and have yak yards. And I think that's the one key thing. Last year, he struggled because he tried to go deep every time instead of using the crossing routes and some of that West Coast offense flavor.
3rd and 11. John Thomas at the bottom of the screen. Trips receivers to the top. Short drop. Fade to Thomas. Out of the end zone, incomplete.
Charlie, that was a nice ball. Because you always are taught, if you're a quarterback, you either throw to the front pylon or the back one. He was about 2 yards away from that little orange pylon. You know, this is what we're talking about with Damian Craig making a difference. You know, the deep ball was good. You know, he was fighting for position with Witherspoon. Doesn't look like much of an interference. It could have been.
Uncatchable.
But, yeah.
Echeverry for a 40-yard field goal. He only missed 1 field goal attempt last year, and that was against Stillman. This one is good. He is perfect so far this season. 1 of 1.
Good for Stillman, too, to come out with just a field goal.
Echeverry, 40-yard field goal, puts Tuskegee on the board. 6-3 is our score.
Game plan.
4:45 left first quarter. Stillman leading 6-3. Tuskegee just hit a field goal, 40 yards. Roosevelt Echeverry. Don't forget Thursday night, head coach Pat Fitzgerald makes his coaching debut as Northwestern visits former Wildcat coach, the late Randy Walker's alma mater, Miami of Ohio. Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. right here on ESPNU. And this one kicked out of the end zone. It'll be a touchback, and it'll be brought out to the 20, and Stillman will get the ball for the second time today.
Well, Charlie, you talk about kicking game neutralizing. That's your very there. If you can kick it deep and get touchbacks against these two fast return guys, it gives you a much better chance to play the game, because Stillman has come out this year and they played much better early on than they did last year against Tuskegee.
And you talk about the offensive line being young. They're starting with 4 people on the line that had no college experience prior to this season. But they did a pretty good job on the first drive, although the defense has risen to the occasion there for Tuskegee on that one after a gain of maybe a yard, maybe 2 yards on the play out to the 22.
We talk so much about the head coach, but you got to give a lot of credit to Mike Wallace for that. I mean, he's come in and found a way to get these guys ready to play, from Devin Waller, who's a freshman. I mean, you're getting young guys an opportunity to get in there and get some snaps, and you're just worried what's going to happen. Well, they haven't shown any signs of being afraid or being worried about any of that defensive line for Tuskegee.
Rogers in the backfield. The second back in the eye. 2nd down and 8. Movement. Offensive line, the left tackle move. That was Devon Waller. You just talked about it. That freshman.
And that's the area where I think he struggled. He did that in the first drive and did it again here.
Prior to the snap, false start, 79 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And he's coming out now, Devon Waller.
Yeah, McCullum sees it. Look, come on,
what are you
man.
doing?
You're killing me, Devon. You're killing me.
He has been replaced by Johnny Jackson. Johnny Jackson moves over from guard to guard. No, he's still at the guard. Number 77 has moved in there. Barry. And nothing doing in the flat out there to Kenneth Brown, who had a long reception earlier.
Well, some of that they're having to play musical chairs with offensive linemen. Brad Barry has to move over to the right side, left side, because you got Heimel who's out, who could really stabilize that offensive line. So they've had to move a lot of different people around. That's why I give a lot of credit to Mike Wallace, the offensive line coach, because he's been able to plug guys in from an early time. Now, Devon Waller, even though he's young, he's got a big body, 6'4", 350. They have some huge size up front.
They certainly do. But it's 3rd and long now. Quarterback, quick feet, a very fast quarterback, and he picks up the first down. That is McCullum out to the 34-yard line before run out of bounds by Jonathan Hall.
Yeah, McCullum looked good there, Charlie. And I mean, that's one of the areas where if you're Tuskegee, you got to keep him inside. You get outside, or they get outside contained and they lose it. Look, he's going to show you here. When he comes out, he knows where the defender is, and he has one to beat. So I'm by him. I know I can get by him. And he doesn't even look. That's the beautiful thing about when you have speed. It kills you if you're the defensive guy. You don't make that play, he picks up a first down.
So this drive that started at their own 20 has moved out to the 34, and it's 1st down and 10 for Stillman. The Tigers of Stillman. Little screen being set up. Not much running room there for Rogers, and Rogers will lose yards back to the 33-yard line.
Well, and they're going right to Kevin Bell. Michael Dawson. Kevin Bell, the running backs coach, I can look on the sideline and see him getting ready to bring Michael Dawson in the game.
But you can't really fault him there. I mean, there was no blocking there. There was nothing there.
But I think what they were saying is don't lose yards.
Yeah.
To go right up the field. When you dance around like that, you give the defense a chance to come and get you. And that's the thing. He's questioning himself. He has to just play.
2nd down after the loss of 3. 2nd and 13. Stepping up and throwing long. Complete to Marcus Bryant. Down inside the 35 to the 33.
I don't know how he completed that. Micah Hill was there. And Terrence Stringer, I thought, was going to get there also. But Bryant waited on the pass. Good focus and concentration, and a nice catch. You know, this is where you talk about stepping up in the pocket. You have pressure coming. You know it's coming. He doesn't worry about it. Gets the ball down the field. Now, you can see he's surrounded by 3 defenders, but you would think that they would get there before him. But Marcus Bryant, look at this. Beautiful catch in traffic.
So down to the 33, the second drive of the game for Stillman. And they're knocking on the door once again, leading 6-3. And here's a play action to the right side. And here's room for the quarterback to run. And he picks up about 7 or 8 yards out to, or down to about the 26-yard line. McCollum showing his running ability.
Charlie, I like how they're mixing in those bootlegs with them. Naked boots, so to speak. Nobody out there. If he beats, which he does on a consistent basis, Darwin Putney, Putney's not there to stop him, then he has a lot of room to run.
Gave him 7 on that run. It'll be 2nd down and 3. So the young offensive line of Stillman College seems to be doing a pretty good job with those 4 new starters there.
Well, they're doing a good job, but you also have to give McCollum some credit too. He's making the reads and making good decisions.
Here's Rogers on the carry, gets it down to about the 24-yard line, and even with Chris Heimel out, who promised that he would be back for the game against Miles College on the 24th of September. Another game here on ESPNU. You know, he's their best offensive lineman, and they're doing a pretty good job without him in there today.
Well, they also, you know what they're doing? They're using the clock, milking it, and keeping this defense on the field. You see the Tuskegee guys walking around with their hands on their waists. They're a little tired. They've been out there a long time as a defensive unit.
And I'm sure Willie Slater would like it to have been reversed in terms of who kept the ball in terms of time of possession. Quarterback decides to keep it, gets nothing. That was a 3rd down play, 3rd and 1, and I don't think they got it. And the first quarter is going to come to an end here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with Stillman on top of Tuskegee by a score of 6-3. But Charles McCollum, an impressive start to the 2006 season for the 2nd team preseason all SIAC selection. Back with the 2nd quarter in a moment.
6 and 76. Life happens between empty and full.
As we start the 2nd quarter, along with Charles Arbuckle, I'm Charlie Neal. 6-3, Stillman on top. You saw a shot of Kevin Huff, the Tuskegee quarterback. He's had only 1 series, but Stillman driven from their own 20-yard line. They're facing a 4th down and about 1. Here's the pitch to Rogers. Will not get it. Dropped in the backfield by big number 98, Atron Jackson.
You know, defense can turn the game, and that's where you need a big play. Atron Jackson, he had been quiet up to that point, but when you have to make a play, this guy always seems to come up with it, Charlie, and that was a nice getting through, putting pressure. You talk about the young offensive line, they don't block them well. There's pressure all over the place, and Atron Jackson cleaning up. You know, you can see those guys come off the ball well. Stillman does, but not enough. And there's nowhere for Derek Rogers to run that football.
Atron Jackson was all over that one. It is 1st down and 10 for Tuskegee from their own 28-yard line. Kevin Huff, his 2nd offensive possession of the day. And the handoff to the fullbacks to Jason Finley and number 32, and he gets nowhere. Stillman, of course, balanced experience on the defense. 3 of their seniors started as freshmen, so they have some experience on the D-line.
Well, they really do, and you talk about Irvin McGuire being one of those guys, Chandler Blakely, and Brandon Johnson. Really strong, stout defensive line. You're not going to get a whole lot out of them because they've seen a lot of football.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Fitzhugh the lone setback behind Huff. Play action. The pass too big for Stanley Reed, the tight end.
And that's a prime example right there. You see Brandon Johnson not losing contain, staying with Huff. They've been told all week, don't let him get outside of you. And if you do, you have to make sure that you keep there. You keep it inside. And look at their defense last year.
Average, gave up 287 yards a game. They also gave up 23 touchdowns.
You know, that's one of the things that you may not focus on a lot, but Dennis Conner, a very good defensive coordinator, uses a lot of man coverage, but he can use that with the speed that he has in the secondary.
They gave up an average of 18 points a game while scoring almost 23 themselves. Here's Huff to pass it. Drills one. I don't think Superman would have caught that. Lorenzo Crawford was the intended receiver. That was the bullet.
Well, the tough part about that was that Huff saw, he thought it was only going to be 7 defenders. They put 8 back there and only rushed 3. So he really had nowhere to throw the football.
So to bring up a 4th down punting situation, they lost yards on that drive after a good defensive stand on 4th down. A turnover on downs for Stillman. They get the ball at the 28 and lose back to the 25, and Echeverry is on the punt. Not a good punt for Echeverry. Short kick. That's not indicative of his punting prowess. He's averaged 38.4 yards per punt a year ago and put 18 inside the 20, but not a good punt that time. Good field position for Stillman when we come back. They'll have the ball 1st and 10.
DR is professional power for homeowners.
6-3 our score here. You're watching ESPNU College Football presented by Allstate. Stillman with a 6-3 lead. This will be their 3rd offensive possession. And here's Mr. McCollum. He's had a great afternoon.
Well, Charlie, he's done it with his legs. He's done it with his arm. But he's also done it behind the offensive line that we thought was very questionable. Finding his buddy there, Kenneth Brown, on that touchdown. That long play. And then the touchdown to Phillip Bryant. I'm always lobbying for tight ends. Way to go, Phillip. Keeping my streak alive.
And of course, Tuskegee, as you look at his numbers, perfect from a year ago against Tuskegee. He was 12 of 20, 479 yards and a touchdown so far today. And we're in the 2nd quarter with 13 minutes to go. 7 of 7, 105, and already has thrown a TD.
And I think he's making the right decisions on when to run and when to pass and when to dump it off to the right guy. And you're seeing that today.
1st down and 10. A lone setback behind him. That's Rogers. Steps up into the pocket, throws, has it behind the intended receiver. Just a little bit too much mustard for Darren Clark.
Yeah, that was a hot pass right behind Darren Clark. But that's the first one he's missed today.
First one.
He's been consistent.
He maybe shouldn't have shown us that, right? He was perfect up there.
Like a free throw shooter.
Of course, Stillman has controlled possession. They've had the ball over 11 minutes, 12 minutes to just 4 minutes for Tuskegee, and that'll keep you in the ball game all the time.
Well, and they averaged 29 minutes and 49 seconds last year, so they're really close to getting that in the first half.
That's a good thing that was incomplete. Are they saying that's a lateral? Maybe so. And going into the end zone for what could be a touchdown for Tuskegee is Brian King, the linebacker, number 57. They're saying that was a lateral pass in out of the hands of Clark, picked up by Brian King and put in for a touchdown.
Well, and a good heads-up play by Brian King. Charlie, let's remember, the new rule this year is that you have one time during the game to call a timeout and to try to review the play.
But not in this,
not in this reviewable plays
in this conference, though.
Yeah. Oh,
the conference has to have it, so they don't have, I think, the instant replay situation set up in Division II. Although all conferences are allowed to use it, but Division I, the ones who do it more than anything. And Echeverry with the point after, and just that quickly. Tables have turned. 10-3. Make it 10-6 our score. Under 13 to go. 2nd quarter. Ten to 6. First turnover of the ball game, and it favors Tuskegee as King picks up. There he is, the linebacker. Brian King out of Atlanta, Georgia, just a freshman. And he picks it up right here after the hit. Great hit there.
And good heads-up play. I mean, Albert Buckle Jr. is out, so you got Brian King playing in his place. Jeremy Parham has a chance, doesn't make the catch on the bubble screen, and Brian King just comes up with the 32-yard fumble return for a touchdown.
And Echeverry will kick it off again.
But that was a good example of guys celebrating and one other one being heads up, the youngest one in the bunch.
Right.
He's a 5'11", 210-pound freshman out of Atlanta, Georgia. He gets a chance to play. He says, hey, I'm going to take this to the house.
And if the deep offense isn't doing it, the defense is for Tuskegee.
Charlie, that's the case in point where speed doesn't help him.
No, it didn't help him on that particular.
Because he didn't give his wedge and his guys up front enough time to block and move people out of the way. He's so fast.
Witherspoon, and yeah, he's 100 and 200 meter SIAC champ. So
10 300-meter guy. You can see if his guys don't go and there's no distance, he has nowhere to really run the football.
So Stillman again trying to rectify the mistake made on the last possession as they fall behind after leading 6-0. They're down 10-6 right now. First down and 10. Their own 28-yard line. And back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all for Rogers. Derek Rogers.
And Charlie, what we've talked about is how well Stillman had played, how much they could control the clock, and now they're behind. Because Tuskegee made two nice big plays on defense. The fourth down play by Antron Jackson and that fumble return recovery right there by Brian King. Hidden points, hidden plays always hurt you, and then when they happen, you got to be prepared if you're the other team to stop them.
A gain of 1 on the last play. It'll be 2nd down and 9. McCullum. Intercepted should have been right into the hands of Jonathan Hall, number 55, and he couldn't hold on. The freshman out of LaFleur High, a walk-on from Mobile, Alabama.
Well, I mean, we looked at it early on. McCullum, first quarter, outstanding. This quarter, not so good. Making plays like this, when you slide over and you zone in on a guy, Darren Clark right there, he's looking for him. Defensive back or the defensive linebacker right there in Hall just reads those eyes and gets over in front of the pass.
Certainly did. As you look at Greg Thompson, you know, this program, this is only the 8th year that Stillman has had football. They were like 48 years without a program. They revitalized it back in 1999, and they've done a pretty good job. Here's a throwaway. Let's see if it's intentional grounding. No, the pressure was coming, though, from a couple of the white-shirted Tuskegee defensive players.
Well, you know what Tuskegee has also done, Charlie? They have now said, we're going to get after McCullum, and we're going to get after the young offense, because we know that line isn't used to seeing the blitz and the pressure package. They go about 50% of the time they're going to pressure. The first quarter, they stayed base and very vanilla, and now they're really getting after Charles McCullum.
New punter, I believe, in the lineup. I'm not sure they know who was going to punt. This is Carl Casey, and we may have delay of game. The punter that they had thought was going to be in place this year, Sean Reck, who averaged 39 yards per punt last year, decided after camp he was going to transfer, and most kids transfer down. This kid, he really went up. He went all the way to the University of Alabama, right down the street. So a new punter in the lineup, so they're still experimenting with the kicking game. Right now, 10-6 is our score, 11:50 left, second quarter.
Now playing.
The inside guys are killing him. He's saying the line is not doing the job, and we talked about the youth of this offensive line and some of the problems they may have, and it kind of really broke down on that last drive.
It was very spirited even before. Mike Wallace, the offensive line coach, was really getting on those guys pretty tough, because it is the interior part of the offense is really broken down on a number of occasions on that drive.
Well, we got another kid in there punting this time for Stillman College. This is Marcus Bryant, the wide receiver. And let's look at Mike Wallace while we were in the break.
Yeah.
And see exactly some of the conversation that was going on between him and the offense.
What we have here is failure to communicate.
Yes, we do. A big failure to communicate. Let's watch it. Where's our back?
If you're the single back and your linebacker come in and come around, shit, that's you. You got to come back with him.
That nigga came out the middle.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It don't matter where he came from.
Come back around.
It's where they started. We got the one that's in the middle. He got that, we got that.
So you've got to get it together to avoid those breakdowns. Fitzhugh at the 34-yard line, make it to 39, a gain of 4 yards on the play by Richard Fitzhugh.
We always want to teach you. This is college, ESPNU, and that's a great look at guys struggling with trying to figure out how to get it done. And McCullum saying to Rogers, no, you get over here so you can see what coach is telling us.
That's right.
No, I don't want to hear, you know, because my life is in jeopardy. I've gone 7 for 7, and now I can't complete a pass because I can't get it off.
I can't get it off. That's right. It is 2nd down and 6 after the gain of 4 by Fitzhugh. Huff with the pass to the far side to Sean Bailey. Bailey with the first down at the 46-yard line. Bailey on the reception. Sean Bailey, the sophomore out of Norland High in Miami. Top returning receiver. He caught the winning touchdown his senior year of high school in their state finals down in Miami.
Charlie, we failed to mention also, too, Tuskegee in the middle of a winning streak. 7 straight games, looking for number 8 today. And I think they really want to find that, you know, conference game right off the bat are always the toughest, you know, and so if you can win those, it gives you a good chance to have momentum going into the season.
Offsides on the defense. A couple of people moving a little prematurely. One of them, number 20 for Stillman College, Larry Albert. Our referee, Greg Edwards. He's assisted by Kenneth Oglesby, Alfred Johnson, Artie Cobb, Michael Klein, Ralph Green, and Larry Neal Jr.
You know, Charlie, we talked about winning streaks. You know, Tuskegee in the last 24 games, 21-3.
Yeah, well, they only lost last year was to Albany
Offside,
State.
95 blue, made contact, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
So Irving McGuire also guilty of being offsides. He's the one that made contact. Albert didn't make contact, but he was clearly in the backfield. Penalty so far in the game for Stillman.
Doing a better job. 26 yards.
26 yards down. That's not 26 penalties. It is first down, 1st and 5. The ball across midfield at the 49. Here's Fitzhugh with the carry. Not a lot of running room there for Mr. Fitzhugh.
Yeah, but that keeps the defense honest because so often you have Kevin Huff with the ball in his hands and this spread offense formation out of the shotgun. You have to be honest because if he pulls that ball out, a la Vince Young and so many other colleges that run that now, they get that open space and there's no one on the backside. Stillman has to keep one man at home, and sometimes that creates some open running lanes for the running back.
And we'll revisit some of those rules, Shane. We were talking about the review earlier. College this year, they made a change where those conferences that are using instant replay, the coach has one review as this pass falls incomplete per game. He will be able to request the review one time per game, provided his team has a timeout left. If they don't have a timeout left, they cannot do it, but they don't have a red flag like the NFL does or a button that they push. The coach must ask for a timeout for the review, and if the challenge results in a call on the field being overturned, his timeout will be restored. If the call stands, the timeout is lost. And you still have the replay official upstairs who can review any play, but the coach now has one opportunity.
I think the one thing they wanted was uniformity, and I think that's the best thing that they've done, making it under one type of system.
3rd down and 3. Huff, short drop. Looking at a fade, but the receiver didn't look around, but he might have been held. And there's a flag on the play. Cleary Clark was the intended receiver. Brian Witherspoon, the man covering. Number 8 there. This kid that transferred from Alabama State, moved over from strong safety to the corner this year. He had an interception. He returned 99 yards against Morehouse last year.
Defense, spot foul, automatic. First down.
That didn't look like pass interference to me, though, Charlie. It just looked like two guys playing the position. I didn't see, you know, You really can't see much of anything. They're jockeying for position, and in that 5-yard range, you have the ability to push on guys. So
yeah, that was pretty close because the receiver didn't even know the ball was coming.
Wasn't a good call.
Officials still in the preseason too, right? Here's a reverse to the flip side. And down inside the 25 to about the 24-yard line goes Ashawn Jackson, number 85.
They have been setting up this play all game long. When you go that way, almost like an option look, there's no one there. You have to have contain, and Ashawn Jackson getting into the secondary, deep into the secondary. But what you have, too, is you have blitz coming, and when you don't see that blitzer right there comes off. Ashawn Glenn, he misses the play completely because he's coming inside. The play goes outside. That's a good call offensively versus that blitz that was coming from Stillman.
And Saturday, September 2nd, ESPNU has a full day of college football. It begins with a pair game featuring ranked teams. First at noon Eastern, Division I AA powerhouse Montana will open the season against the 16th ranked Hawkeyes of Iowa. Then at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, Howard Schnellenberger's Florida Atlantic Owls travel to Clemson for a meeting with the Tigers, who look to build on a strong finish to last season. College football presented by Allstate Saturday right here on ESPNU. Dennis Conner is the defensive coordinator for Stillman College. He's a very interesting story. Played at Jackson State, is in their Hall of Fame. But more importantly, he has 2 full-time jobs. He is the Dean of Students at Central High here in Tuscaloosa. He leaves there, and at 4 o'clock, he comes over to Stillman and runs the defense for Greg Thompson.
Interesting story.
He was on the staff last year. In fact, applied for the head coaching job. But glad to be a part of this organization. Huff from the shotgun. He's going to keep it and run it. Bounces to the outside, keeps his balance. A flag is down, and Huff steps out of bounds. We may have holding.
That was good recognition by Huff. He knew the blitz was coming outside. He can see, you know, as a quarterback, you look at pre-snap reads, but it's going to come back. It's holding. But he saw that. He said, if I step up a little bit, then I know I can bounce outside. He was patient enough and allowed that rush to come. But it won't matter.
You know, we were talking to Coach Willie Slater before this game and this week about who his starters were going to be.
Block in the back. Number 2, defense, decline, holding. Number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat it down.
We had a block in the back of the defense. Okay, it must have been blocking the back on the number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't see a number 2 on defense.
It was on John Thomas, yeah.
I think he meant to say on the offense, John Thomas.
First 3 drives, only 16 yards for Tuskegee. They've already gained 41 on this one. That started at their own 35. They're down to the 30 of Stillman. Again from the shotgun. Plenty of time and overthrown. Could not get a receiver open. Lorenzo Crawford, number 9, was the intended receiver. You look at number 53 there. That's Warren Rhodes, sophomore out of Spokane, Washington. Ferris High out there in the Pacific Northwest.
Looks like he has a helmet or some kind of equipment problem. Has to come out of the game for a little bit. This is a game where a lot of people are going to get to play because of the heat.
And his first game.
Yeah, first game. You want to make sure guys are rested and winded.
2nd and 16, make it 17. Just gets it away. Intercepted. Being brought out of the end zone. And the flag is going to go down. We may have face mask. But coming up with the INT, I believe that was Carl Casey, or was that number 18 for Stillman? Dremel Harden, the free safety.
He did a good job of playing over the top on that corner route.
Here's a young man that transferred from Mississippi State, had a great camp and broke into the starting lineup. In fact, moved Brian Witherspoon over from safety over to cornerback.
He did a very good job of playing over the top. You know, they play a lot of man. Just played that center field position
Face mask
very well.
on the return, on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
They meant on the, well, it was the offense at that time, depending on who was on offense.
Yeah.
But it was on Tuskegee, the 5-yard face mask penalty. But the interception by Harden, his first collegiate interception. 8:30 is the time remaining. Ball spotted at the 17. Stillman with the ball, first down and 10, keeping it on the ground and running straight ahead.
You know, you also have to wonder how much of a factor the dark jerseys for Stillman will play. It was hot on this field, and the sun is slowly going to go down, but it had to be about 93 when it started. You see those offensive linemen, they get to moving a little bit slower, and the defensive linemen, I think it affects even more. Just for them to have the ability to keep running through this. It's a hot day today.
And a little shower moved through about 45 minutes before game time, and I think it made it hotter.
It kicked it up a notch.
A little steam coming off the ground, huh? It is first down and 10. Trying to set up. Here's McCullum, steps up, still running and gets out to the 19-yard line.
I'll give a lot of credit to the Tuskegee and their defensive backfield. They did a great job covering people up, and McCullum really didn't have anywhere to throw the football. They've done a much better job of not allowing a lot of space and putting more pressure on him in the second quarter than they did in the first.
They certainly did. I mean, he was all over the place at the start of this ball game. In fact, went 7 for 7 to start the game, and since that time, he's been running for his life.
Adjustments are always the biggest difference in football games or any kind of game. Who makes the right adjustments? And Tuskegee on defense so far in this second quarter have done a very good job of making the right adjustments.
Trip receivers to the bottom of your screen. Looking for a screen. And now throwing it downfield. Making the adjustment, and the catch is Marcus Bryant. And Marcus Bryant is into Tuskegee territory at the 32-yard line.
That's the biggest thing you can have to happen to you when you make those adjustments. You come with blitzes and you get one-on-one coverage. Marcus Bryant stays alive, gets down the field. McCullum gets around, and he has Lee Smith and Marcus Bryant one-on-one. Big play.
Lee Smith got turned around, never saw the ball. Marcus Bryant made the adjustment and made the catch.
Well, you have a chance right there to get a guy down with Christopher McNair, but he lets him get outside, and McCullum does that and does a very nice job putting the air on the ball, and Marcus Bryant staying with it, concentrating on it, and making a nice catch.
First down and 10, 6.5 minutes to go, second quarter. At the 32 of Tuskegee. Little flare screen pass to Dawson. Dawson turns the corner and has run out of bounds after a gain of 5.
That's welcome to college, man.
Yes, it is.
How you doing? I knew you were in high school last year, but this is the big boys here.
Midfield High, Fairfield, Alabama, which is right down the road, and we have a player down.
McCullum.
And that's McCullum, the quarterback. He was shaken up after throwing that screen pass or that little flare pass.
He has some open field speed, but they know that. They've already seen his little ability that we saw earlier, the Tuskegee defensive backfield. And they said, look, let's get this guy early.
Fairfield, Alabama is also the home of Miles College, and how he got away from there and wound up down here in Stillman. Maybe just wanted to get away from home, huh? Only 50, 60 miles away, right?
Yeah, but still seems like a much further distance, right?
Now we'll see what this does to Stillman's offense if McCullum can't continue. Quentin Wright is a backup, a junior out of LaFleur High in Mobile, Alabama. Played 4 games last year. Was 9 of 26. Threw a touchdown. And let's watch. He gets hit right here, left side of the screen, just as he let that ball go.
Yeah, he was kind of taken into the ground pretty roughly, and that's what you're going to get as a quarterback. You know, anytime they get a chance to hit you, they're going to hit you. The defensive linemen, they're taught that. And as a quarterback, you got to be prepared.
We talked about the fact that this Stillman program, this is only his 8th year, and he's up on his own power. He looks like he's a little woozy. but I think he's going to be okay. Hopefully, he's looking at his shoulder, which is his left shoulder, which he throws from he's a right-handed passer. But we talked about the fact that this is only an 8th year for this program. When they decided to bring football back after an absence of 48 years, they had open tryouts. 300 young men came out and tried out for the team. Wow. Those that didn't make it still continued on in their education here at Stillman College.
And that's the one thing about having 300 people to choose from also. You can see why they've been pretty successful.
They only had one losing season since they brought football back, and that was the first year. Quentin Wright's in there. His quarterback is incomplete, trying to hit Marcus Bryant.
You know, you always look to see when the quarterback comes off the bench how he's going to play on that first play. You see his percentage there last year, 33.3% with 1 touchdown. But the first throw seems, Charlie, to dictate how he's going to play. The timing of the game is so much different than what you have in practice, and these players have been playing about a quarter and a half, and they're accustomed to a different speed. If Quentin Wright can come in and make the difference, you know they have to throw the football. They can't rely strictly on the run.
Well, you just saw McCollum wince in pain as the trainer was working on him on the sideline. He hit a nerve there. I think he's going to go to the locker room.
McCollum can't come back. You also have Vernon Jones, and the ball's on the ground.
And he is upset. That is McCollum. I'm watching him as he goes to the locker room. He is not a very happy camper. I think he's been given some bad news, and we may not see him today. Meanwhile, we have a turnover on the field, and Tuskegee has recovered. So the second turnover of the day for the Tigers of Stillman.
That's the biggest problem when you lose your quarterback and your leader. And then you're hoping that you can keep things together, and a few plays afterwards.
Remember, this drive started with a turnover with Harden's interception, and Stillman was driving down the field, but then they turn it over at the 24-yard line of Tuskegee. There's a timeout on the field. 5:47 remaining. We're in the first quarter. 10-6 ball game. Tuskegee over Stillman.
Join the eye-popping revolution today. Call now.
10-6 our score. Tuskegee on top with 5:47 left in the second quarter. Thursday night, head coach Pat Fitzgerald makes his coaching debut as Northwestern visits former Wildcat coach, the late Randy Walker's alma mater, Miami of Ohio. College football primetime presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPNU. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Charlie Neals, Charles Arbuckle in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This SIAC matchup. Stillman came into the season predicted to finish 7th in the conference. Coaches sometimes like to be finished low because everybody's not expecting a lot of you, and you can sneak up on some people as Huff takes off and runs. Up across the 30 to the 32-yard line. A gain of about 8 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 2.
Well, nice play there by Huff. But also Richard Fitzhugh with the block up front. He comes, and it's almost like he's the lead blocker on that play, and it allows him to pick up some nice yards.
We started the game talking about the top 2 quarterbacks in the conference, Mr. Huff and, of course, McCollum for Stillman College. McCollum has gone to the locker room with some sort of a shoulder injury, we believe, after having a great start, starting the game 7 of 7. Here's the pitch to Fitzhugh, hitting the backfield and dropped for no gain on the play.
Nice defense.
It was good defense there.
And he is brought down by
won that
52,
option
Harvey
without
Logan.
really truly having a fake dive in there, and the defense stayed at home. I mean,
Harvey Logan, yeah, he did a good job of making sure he didn't get far.
Stillman's defense has done a very good job of not allowing them to get outside. So what Tuskegee has tried to do now is work more so in between the tackles, where they're used to probably getting more outside, and Stillman's not allowing that because they're really playing pressure from the outside.
3rd down, 2 from the shotgun. Kevin Huff will work. And we may have had a delay of game.
Delay of game. Number 3, offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
going to call that against Huff. Usually it's against the quarterback.
Yeah,
so.
they decided to give it to somebody else.
Richard
Fitzhugh hadn't had his name called enough today. So they penalized the running back. Well, that was the first person he saw. They were running from the shotgun, so the referee doesn't care. So I'll just give it to somebody. You can still delay a game, right? 4 minutes to go, second quarter. Blitz shown by Stillman. Here's the pass, and it's incomplete. It is short.
Tuskegee's looking for a pass interference right there.
Yeah, well, it was Crawford. Lorenzo Crawford, number 9, was the intended receiver. And that one goes incomplete. That brings up a 4th down punting situation, and Echeverry comes on. So Echeverry's punt down at the 41-yard line, and of course Stillman gets the ball once again, but the story right now, Charles, is can they survive down 4 points now and come back with their star quarterback not on the field?
Well, that's the biggest question they have to have. And I mean, you think McCullum, with all the ability that he was showing and getting outside and running the football, but also that first quarter, outstanding, 7 of 7 with plays like this. And he was usually on the other end. Marcus Bryant was right there for him. But when he didn't find Marcus Bryant, he used his legs. And it was a nice throw here again to Marcus Bryant deep over Lee Smith.
Quentin Wright is in at quarterback right now, steps up under pressure, and he fumbles the ball, puts it on the ground, and let's see who has it.
Officials are saying he was down.
Boy, I'll tell you, it came close to another disaster that time. Let's watch the injury to McCullum and how it occurred after that pass as he was thrown to the ground.
He was pushed down into the ground, and that's what
maybe his left shoulder. He may have, well, I don't want to speculate, but it looks like a left shoulder injury, which is not on his throwing arm, and there he is going to the locker room very, very disgusted. Boy, how lucky can you get, Philip Bryant? That had INT written all over it. Bryant just happened to be there. It's a completion up to the 45-yard line, and Philip Bryant, the tight end, who has the only touchdown of the game for Stillman.
And number 55, Jonathan Hall.
Here's the total yards today. Stillman's total yards, opening drive, they went 72 yards, 5 drives since, a total of 132. And talking to Charles McCullum yesterday, you know, you always ask a young quarterback like him, who's your hero? Is it a Michael Vick or someone of this nature? He said, no, it's Darryl Hackney. He played behind him in high school at Frederick Douglass in Atlanta. Darryl Hackney right now is a free agent in the Cleveland Browns camp as quarterback, and that's the guy he's been looking up to for many years.
Yeah, and you know, that's what was so good about that. Hackney showed him the ropes, really helped him out. But when you look here on the field, you can see
the penalty. I think we get a little unnecessary roughness because the quarterback was down and he got hogtied around the neck. But going back to the Hackney story, of course, those who may not know.
After the play, personal foul, late hit, 23 defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Hackney was Alabama Birmingham's all-time leading passer, signed as a free agent with Cleveland.
Well, and right here, I mean, Quentin Wright has just not had a chance, and Christopher McNair is going to be called for that penalty. You have to catch the football in the shotgun, but right there, you can't take a guy's neck off. That's a Dick Night Train Lane hit.
Yes, indeed.
Old reference.
You know,
they outlawed it. They outlawed those hits because of Dick Night Train Lane.
They certainly did. So it'll bring up a first down and 10, the ball across midfield at the 48-yard line. Here again is Wright looking to pass, and a good catch at the 41-yard line. A great catch by the tight end, Philip Bryant. He's been putting on a clinic so far today from the tight end spot. You can appreciate it, can't you,
he and his brother have shown some great hands. This is an outstanding catch by Philip Bryant, helping the quarterback out who hadn't had a good showing so far. Look at that catch. Gets his hands underneath and shows it. That sells it. He's a good salesman.
Again, quick pass over the middle. This time it's dropped by Jason Mims, the sophomore from Spain Park High in Birmingham.
I'm coming for you. Jason heard the footsteps. He heard them. Because you could see as soon as that ball hit his hands, he was thinking, man, hit me. Ball, not so important.
Yeah, that was... and that'll bring
an Isley Brothers song, right? Footsteps in the dark. It's daylight.
Daylight footsteps. Yeah, he was listening to that defense come up on him. Receiver fell down. Ball was overthrown, and to bring up 4th down. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, a top 10 preview, a tribute to Randy Walker, and first half highlights and stats. Stay with us for our halftime activities. Under a minute to go here in the first half of play. In case you just joined us, McCullum with a 9-yard pass to Phillip Bryant, the tight end, opened the scoring. They missed the extra point. It was 6-0. And Echeverry hit a 40-yard field goal to make it 6-3 Tuskegee. And then King returned a lateral 32 yards. That was fumbled for Tuskegee, and that's the way we stand in the scoring. 10-6, 4th down play. Here's the quarterback trying to get to the first down marker. He will not get there. And they'll turn the ball over on downs with 46 seconds to go. And the ball will be Tuskegee's ball at their own 39.
You don't understand why they're going to do that. You're going to give them 60 yards to work now, Tuskegee, or 61. And with that quarterback and those receivers, that's a lot of time left on the clock. You know, with a quarterback who didn't really show very well, Quentin Wright, getting into the situation where he made a few completions or should have had more than just a couple. He didn't have an opportunity. They tried to go for it on 4th down, and now you're giving the ball to Tuskegee and Huff, who's got a good chance to score a touchdown.
And he's working out of the shotgun on 1st down and 10. And the pitch to the right to Fitzhugh. Fitzhugh trying to turn the corner. Good defensive play over there. Stripping the blocker was Larry Albert to get around and knock him off balance.
Knocked out of bounds by number 20, Larry Albert.
So that timeout is being called. As you look at Larry Albert there, the junior out of Augusta, Georgia, redshirt junior, returning starter.
Reset the game clock to 24 seconds.
Clock ran down too soon. Of course, here at Stillman, the clock operator.
It was still running. He was out of bounds. And Kevin Huff turned to the official and said, hey, we should have more time on the clock.
Well, they still haven't reset it. It's at 18.7. It should be at 24. But normally the clock operator is part of the officiating crew, and that's one good thing about it. So you don't have those issues of the clock not stopping when it's supposed to.
And he's inputting it now. You can see him he's in the booth next to us and working through trying to get the clock reset.
Please reset the game clock to 24 seconds.
Last year against Stillman College, this Tuskegee team ran up 453 total yards. Stillman managed only 269 in their game in a 12-point ball game. 32-20 was the final score then. Now they've got it to 2.4. They can't get it to 24.2.
24 seconds.
He said, I'm trying.
I'm trying to get it to 24. Both teams are off next week. Tuskegee's next game will be at home, and they'll be playing Miles College, conference opponent. And of course, Stillman is also off next week. Their next game will be Concordia College. That'll be in Selma, Alabama on September 9th. They're seemingly still having some problems with that clock. Of course, you look at Kevin Huff there, the young man who was the player of the year in the conference. He was the 2nd leading rusher on this conference last, 771 yards. And of course, you know, this conference has had some good runners. You had J.D. Washington, which is Denzel Washington's young son, was at Morehouse a year ago. He's gone. So, you know, you've got a lot of new faces and a lot of new stars coming around in the SIAC this season. 2nd down. 24 seconds remaining in the half. Huff steps up, Lets it fly down the sideline, and it goes out of bounds. A lot of pressure put on Mr. Huff that time.
You know, Stillman has done a pretty good job against Huff today. They haven't allowed him to really capitalize and make the plays that you're accustomed to seeing him make.
And you notice, and they've talked about the fact that Hurd and McCoy and Hardin and Witherspoon are very, very fast in that secondary, maybe the fastest secondary in the SIAC, maybe all of black college football as a group. And receivers are not getting behind them.
No, they're not. They're not. They're running stride for stride with these guys, and they've also had one interception. So you know this defense has really shown well against this Tuskegee offense.
And a good catch on the far sideline.
To number 8, Jason English.
And English on the reception with almost a one-handed grab, and he gets out of bounds. That would move the chains, a first down, but we have a discussion. Let's see what this is all about.
The Stillman to take that, they'll let that happen. I mean, that's going to run out the clock.
Well, he was out. Did he get out of bounds? That's the key.
Yeah.
Please reset the game clock to 11 seconds.
Well, we'll be here for 3 more days now. We got to reset the game clock. This takes a while because the clock didn't stop in time. You know, we were talking about some of the rules, and we're looking at the officials dealing with that. We talked earlier about the instant replay rule. The other new rule this year is the clock. The most controversial rule is the attempt to shorten the games by running the clock in 2 situations where it would previously have stopped. Instead of waiting until the ball has been touched by the receiving team on the kickoff, the clock now starts as soon as the ball is clicked. And following a change of possession, the game clock starts when the play clock starts. So those are 2 situations and 2 rule changes regarding the clock this year in college football.
And we'll see that come into play. They want the game to end, be quicker, and really get moving faster. They don't want
to reset the clock. Then you've thrown all that out the window, right? Greg Thompson, very interesting story regarding him. He was named the coach back in, I believe, February, and then in April he got a letter from the athletic director saying his contract had been rescinded. He actually was hired February 16th, had a spring game, and then the athletic director on April 17th relieved him of his duties as coach. 2 days later, they reinstated him. We still haven't figured that out. Letting it fly. Last play. That should be interference. It is. And it's intercepted, but it was interference on the part of Stillman College. So that's going to come all the way back. The first half is not going to be able to end on a defensive penalty. Definitely interference on the defensive side by Stillman's Carl Casey, a redshirt sophomore from Atlanta, number 16.
Well, both of the ball clubs are saying, let's get this half over. Tuskegee will take it to have another shot at the end zone.
But he actually, Casey, knocked down the Tuskegee receiver at about the 5-yard line. Now, again, in college football, the ball will be spotted 15 yards down the field instead of at the spot of the foul. But they will still get another chance.
And that'll give them a chance to throw it to the end zone this time instead of about the 10-yard line where the interception took place, right around that area.
Still a discussion by the officials. Greg Edwards and his crew. Moses Norman is the supervisor of officials for the SIAC football.
Pass interference, 16 defense. Also holding on the defense on the return. Pass interference, 15 yards, automatic first down.
So they get another chance. As I said, the first half can't end on the penalty, and they'll mark 15 yards off from the previous line of scrimmage, and that'll give Tuskegee another opportunity. Now, do you go for the field goal here if it's close enough for Echeverry, or do you try to go up top and put it in the end zone?
I think it'll be too far for Echeverry to kick from this point.
He's had a 45-yarder. That was a year ago. If he kicked right from now, it would be about a 47-yard field goal attempt for Echeverry. So he has the ability to hit from this distance, but Willie Slater decides he's going to go for it. Or would it be a 52-yard? Be 47. Going to the end zone. Man is open. Touchdown, Tuskegee. Wide open, Lorenzo Crawford.
Well, you talk about having a lapse in concentration, and Brian Witherspoon, with all that speed right there, allowed him to get behind him and score 6.
This is a drive that took forever. It started at their own 39, a 61-yard drive. And when you got the ball, you said that. They have 61 yards to go. And here's Echeverry for the point after. This is the last play of the first half, and what a way for Tuskegee to end the half. They were down 6-0 in this game, and right now, with the point after good, they're leading it 17-6. Lorenzo Crawford with his second career touchdown catch. Transferred out of Notre Dame. Started 2 games for the Fighting Irish back in 2001. Came to Tuskegee in the spring of '04. And he just put Tuskegee up by a score of 17-6. Let's look at it once again.
Well, you know, Witherspoon is with him, the fastest man on the field. But for some reason, he lets him go, and the safety over the top never gets over. Just a lack of concentration. Jamel Harden should have been there, as well as Brian Witherspoon. You can never let a guy stay deepest, the deepest guy, if you're the defensive back, and that doesn't happen. And Huff just buys time and steps up in the pocket, and he was wide open.
And I'm sure that Greg Thompson not very happy with the turn of events. And of course, the big penalty, the defensive penalty just before the half that gave Tuskegee new life. The penalty was on number 16, Carl Casey. We're at halftime in Tuscaloosa. 17-6 is our score. Tuskegee rallied from a 6-0 deficit. 17 unanswered points. And they have an 11-point lead at halftime.
Join the eye-popping revolution today. Call now.
17-6, our halftime score here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, on the campus of Stillman College. We're at Stillman Stadium, and the Golden Tigers leading it by 11. And let's go down to the field and listen a little bit to the Tuskegee University Marching Crimson Pipers. The Marching Crimson Pipers from Tuskegee University. You remember last year, USC and Texas, or earlier this year, played an epic national championship game. It was back in January with the Longhorns dethroning the Trojans. Well, who will be celebrating January 8th in Glendale, Arizona this season? Let's send it to our studio with Mike Hall, Todd McShay, and Tom Luganbill for a preview of the top 10.
Charlie Neal.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. I'm going to sing to him before the season's over. Meantime, listen, you know, the top 25, AP has come out with it. Of course, Ohio State, it seems to be everybody's favorite to be the team to make it to the national championship this year.
Well, you know, there's so much that can happen, but I agree with those guys that I think Auburn has a real good chance because of where they are and where they place. But it's so hard in the SEC to win all those games. I'll tell you a dark horse I like is LSU. A lot of people haven't talked about them, but I think they have a lot of ability. And you have to look at Ohio State at the top. If they can get through some of those tough tests, especially with the Michigan matchup that they have every year, they have a just as good a chance as anybody else.
And they've got a quarterback in Troy Smith who's a possible Heisman Trophy candidate. Let's look at the next 10 out of there. You see Oklahoma there. Paul Thompson they've changed quarterbacks too. Yeah. They just suspended or dismissed Red Boomer from the team. And then you look at Michigan. They were 7-5 last year, the worst year ever under Lloyd Carr. They need to turn the things around.
A lot of changes there at Michigan, and they're asking for them to get better. But I look at number 12, Miami, Florida. The Florida State, Miami, they play the first game of the year, and that's always a predictor of who does the best, and whoever can win that game will help. And then you go deeper into it, look at Oregon, TCU. I think Tennessee is one of those teams that can play a lot better than they have over the last couple of years, and I think they expect more from those guys out of Knoxville.
You saw Penn State, number 19, lost a lot of their offensive line through graduation. That may hurt them down the stretch.
And I think plus Leslie, how does he come back from that knee injury is also going to be key for that defense.
All right, we'll be back with more of our halftime activities from Tuskegee and Stillman College here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in a moment.
Here and for the rest of my life, and I know our players' life.
Randy Walker touched everyone he met. You had a chance to know him and get to know him personally when you did Mid-American Conference games when he was coaching at Miami of Ohio. What are your impressions?
Well, I just look at the whole situation there. Weeb Eubanks, Eric Parsegan, Terry Hepner. There's a long list of people that have come through the Miami of Ohio program. But Randy Walker always touched me as one of those guys that was an overachiever. He played that way and he coached that way, and I got to see him a few years ago at Penn State when Northwestern was playing there, and he was the same guy, always come up to you with a nice smile and a firm handshake. And that's the thing I remember. You meet a lot of people in this football community, but that was the one thing I think that's why so many of these guys have been touched by him.
And, of course, the Northwestern program will live on, and we'll have that season opening game when they travel to play Miami of Ohio on Thursday. You'll see it right there, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time right here on ESPNU. We'll be back with more activities from Tuscaloosa, Alabama in just a moment.
NFLoffer.com. Call now.
17-6, our halftime score here. Golden Tigers of Tuskegee leading Stillman College by 11. And let's look at some of the first half highlights of this particular game. In fact, the Stillman Tigers took the opening drive and drove all the way down the field, 72 yards. McCullum with the 9-yard pass to the tight end, Phillip Ryan.
Well, he was really on fire, Charlie, and I think he really got it going. But this is when the tide changed. Brian King with an opportunity to pick up the ball on a lateral and take it all the way back for a 32-yard fumble recovery return.
Then we had a pass interference penalty toward the end of the first half, and here's the interception return. But here's a play in which the quarterback, that is Charles McCullum, goes out with the shoulder injury, and we haven't seen him since. And it didn't help the situation. Here's a pass interference penalty right there just before the end of the half, even though the ball was intercepted there by Quentin Wright. And then Huff goes up top.
Lorenzo Crawford getting behind the coverage, coming up with a big play. After I thought fourth down, giving them 61 yards only. That's been the difference in this ball game, and the takeaways by Tuskegee, 3 of them on today.
And the takeaways have resulted in scores, 2 touchdowns, the lateral return and then the fumble return for, and if you want to take away the interception, that's almost another takeaway, because it was a penalty on the play that allowed them to score. That is Tuskegee. What stands out in your mind? You got the 199, 111 yards in favor of Stillman, but
key plays
on top.
Key plays by Tuskegee when they needed to. Antron Jackson, when Stillman was driving on that drive, stopping him on fourth down. You have you know, Lorenzo Crawford, that touchdown was huge, but Brian King, that thing turned the whole game because they were driving the football. They were doing a much better job. Yeah, and I think that's where you see the biggest difference. Stillman came in with the mindset we have to start fast, and they did that, but they didn't keep going. They didn't sustain that momentum.
And they're going to have to, that is Stillman, figure out a way to get back in this ball game and not let it get away from them here in the second half. We'll be back. Second half action from Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
On ESPNU.
17-6 is our score here as we get ready to start the second half here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. SIAC matchup between Stillman and Tuskegee University. Tuskegee is one of those teams that have been near the top, or if not at the top, of the conference for many, many years, and they've been battling Albany State, and of course Albany State again picked to finish at the top of the pack again this season. Albany State, Tuskegee, Fort Valley. One of those teams have been near the top somewhere. Fort Valley's picked to finish second this year. Tuskegee third. Kentucky State, Miles, Benedict, Stillman, Morehouse, Clark, Atlanta, and Lane round out the pack.
Well, and I think if you look at Tuskegee and the level that they play at, I think that's where Stillman is trying to get to. Be more consistent and get up to the top. You can see what Kevin Huff has to do a better job, and he started off 5 of 13, and he struggled last year here, but that one pass was huge. That was
He certainly was.
Play.
Yeah.
And he did that last year. He had big plays against the Stillman team, and that's what you can find if they have lapses and they don't always have the focus in the secondary like they should, and that was one prime example when they needed it.
It's ironic you're talking about having a bad game here last year for Kevin Huff or against Stillman. They played that game in Tuskegee. He was 4 of 21, but he threw 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
So 2 of those 4 passes he completed went into the end zone.
Well, it looks like we'll see McCullum. He came back out. I think he's gotten the shoulder taped, and he's ready to go.
Well, let's hope it was anything too serious. Like I said, we knew it was some type of a shoulder injury.
You see the bandage on there coming out, so I'm sure it's just one of those things he had to go get strapped up and ready to go.
And their Stillman College will be kicking off to start the second half. And of course, we were talking about the woes of the kicking game. Peter Obradovich, a freshman from St. Petersburg, Florida, will have the honors of kicking off here. He missed his only attempt at kicking as a collegian so far, and that was an extra point attempt after the touchdown pass from McCullum to Phillip Bryant. And there's McCullum right there warming up on the sideline. It was the left shoulder, so that the good part, I guess the good news, if there's anything, it had nothing to do with his throwing arm.
That's what he was alluding to, and that's what they showed. You know, if he can go back out there and throw the football, you had time and you could take him away and make sure he's ready to come back.
Short kick, touched by one of the up men, and to the disgust of Ashawn Jackson, he says, why would big number 95 put his hands on it? He is not a kick returner. Well, Vander Hemmings, leave your hands away from the ball. Let the people who do this well do it.
Well, Benjamin Ford called for the fair catch, but the ball carried further than he thought. He did the right thing, but then when the ball kept going back, Ashawn Jackson was coming up and he had a better vantage point to make the catch.
So Tuskegee gets the ball at their own 12-yard line to start the second half here in Tuscaloosa. First down and 10. We saw the stats earlier on Kevin Huff. Big number 69 finally decides to come into the game and join his teammates. That's Larry Peoples, the left tackle. Huff with the handoff to Fitzhugh. Fitzhugh breaks out to the 20-yard line. But a flag is down. We may have offsides against Tuskegee. Looked like number 20, Larry Albert, the linebacker, got into the backfield pretty much. I should say Stillman. Number 20, Larry Albert, got into the backfield prematurely.
And if you're Stillman, you're coming back and you're making some of the same mistakes that you tried not to do. You know, that long pass at the end, 35-yard touchdown, right at the end of the quarter. And then on this play, they're going to
58 yards in penalties so far today for Stillman. And most of those have been unforced errors where they just shot themselves in the foot. The big one was just before the half, the pass interference penalty. And Fitzhugh again, and Fitzhugh scrambles for the first down across the 25 to the 26-yard line.
Tuskegee is playing smart football now. They're going to, first 2 plays are runs. Challenge the Stillman defense, keep them on the field, shorten the game up with the clock.
As long as you can keep possession of the ball, and talking to Dennis Conner, he said one of the things we wanted to do was get the ball out of the hands of Huff, because he knows the experience of Willie Slater. Slater is the type of guy who likes to run the option, but here's a pass played by Huff, and is caught right in front of the Tuskegee bench, and coming up with the reception is the tight end Stanley Reed. Harden man covering defensively for Stillman College, and it's another first down.
Well, good play here because they set it up. They've run the football 2 times in a row, fake the Fitzhugh, and look, that defense opens up whenever they have to go one way and then counteract, and the roll comes to the opposite side. But that's a good job also by Huff of turning his shoulders, getting them square, and firing the football in the read.
From the I formation, they work this time. And the handoff is to the fullback. The first man through, and he picks up some valuable yards, about 7 yards on the carry for big number 32. That's Jason Finley, history major, senior out of Opelika, Alabama.
Good blocking up front. That allowed him to pick up the nice gain, because there was a lot of push by those white jerseys on those blue, just pushing them back. And Tuskegee now is really controlling the clock and tempo of this game.
Ball moved up to the 44-yard line. Where to be second down. Second and about 5. Huff hit as he let the ball go. I believe number 91 was the man who got his arm up there, Sammy Hill, or was deflected.
Yeah, he never had a chance to really follow through with the football. Sammy Lee Hill on him right there.
Sammy out of Blockton, West Blockton, Alabama. To West Blockton High. And now to bring up a third down. Third down conversions, 1 for 4 for Tuskegee. They were 40% a year ago in third down conversions. And we've got offsides, looks like, again for Stillman College.
Well,
again,
Stillman's going to say they were pulled offside by Tuskegee.
Well, it depends on what the line judge says. The line judge today is Artie Cobb. He's the one that threw the flag, and he says they weren't pulled off. So again, that moves the chains. That gives them a first down. That was a third down play where if they'd have stayed on sides, now the ball is being punted.
How many times have you seen fights or heavyweight fights where they go at each other and it's pretty even, and then one guy just comes up with the big roundhouse or uppercut?
Somebody just leaves it wide open.
Well, that's a prime example here. Stillman has not recovered from that long touchdown at the end of the half.
They need to put that out of their mind and start it over as a new ball game. From the shotgun, play action. Here's Huff on the keeper. Huff still on his feet. Huff finally brought down by Anshar Glenn, number 49, the senior out of Laurel, Mississippi.
Charlie,
but not before he gets the first down.
I think they're going to call a penalty on Lorenzo Crawford, but I don't agree with it if they do. He had a great job. He did a great job of blocking. You're going to see him in front of Huff. He's blocking his man down the field right there on your screen, and the guy disengages, and when he does, it looks like he's holding it, but he's driving back a linebacker.
Well, there's a holding penalty that's going to nullify the first down run and move the ball all the way back across midfield to the 49.
And it looked like it was in the area of where Lorenzo Crawford was blocking Anshar Glenn.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I mean,
Anshar Glenn was the man who made the tackle also. First and 10 at the 49, their own 49. This pass is complete down to the 41-yard line. On the reception, John Thomas.
Number 2, John Thomas with the reception.
They made all those yards back up.
Yes, they did.
As quickly as they lost them, they got them right back on that play.
Denate Hurd on the stop defensively. It'll be second down. We'll call it a yard.
That's one of the things that Damian Craig did. He watched all the tapes of Kevin Huff from last year and the last few years, watched him and really identified his strengths and weaknesses. And some of his strengths were arm strength, competitiveness, and running. And then his weaknesses were footwork, first step drops, and shoulder level. And you see those things being improved as we watch this game.
Fumble. And a flag. Do we have false start? Do we have all sides? Let's see what we have. Head linesman threw the flag this time. This one will go against the Golden Tigers of Tuskegee.
False start on Tuskegee University.
Tuskegee
5-yard penalty.
University. Tuskegee, Alabama. This is a beautiful campus here in Tuscaloosa on the campus of Stillman College. 105 acres. School founded in 1876, 1,200 students, and it was founded by the Reverend Charles Stillman for training as a training school for black ministers. So a lot of tradition here. Second down. Quick pass, quick drop, and a great move on the far side by Lorenzo Crawford, who takes it all the way down to the 25-yard line.
Good recognition of the blitz by Kevin Huff. Wherever they're coming from, right behind it is usually a chance to have an open hole and throw the ball to that window. And then after that, you can make some yards after the catch. See, he throws where the blitz is coming. And right into the teeth of that. And Lorenzo Crawford with a nice move and making people miss. Doing a very good job with yards after catch after that long touchdown he had in the half.
Jamel Harden, man, who finally put the stop on him, but not before a good gain all the way down to the 25 of Stillman, who have their backs against the wall right now. And Huff now will work out of the shotgun. Fitzhugh in the backfield with him. And we got movement left tackle. Decides to go out too soon. That's Larry Peoples, the second preseason second-team All-SIAC selection.
A lot of what's happening, too, now is the heat has gotten the guys, and they're just not concentrating. They aren't.
Their brain is fried.
Yeah. If you could, if you really could, the coaches would say, let's go back in and start it from the very beginning. I've had many a practice that have started over. We can't do it because it's game day, but you can imagine there's going to be a lot of running going on for both sides because they both have been not very crisp here.
But you also have to put into play that this is the first game of the season, and everybody is going to go through those first game jitters and make those mental unforced errors, as we like to say.
You can make excuses for them, but you know those gases are coming.
They may even practice tomorrow, right? On a reverse. This time I thought it was read pretty well. And finally a tackle from behind, and now the coaches wanted a flag because they thought he was collared. That was Jackson, Ashawn Jackson, who's done a pretty good job on that end around today. That's the second time we've seen him run the end around.
And they've set it up nicely by running the football, so it looks like you have to respect that run game with Fitzhugh and Kevin Huff, and then you see him coming around the backside. The adjustment there was that it was played well on the first level, but he was able to get almost to the second and third level.
Keeping it, throwing the pass, and it's caught, but not before first down on the near sideline.
Pass complete to number 8, Jason English.
And that's English on the reception. The first half, first drive for Tuskegee, 32 yards. Second half, first drive, they've gone 64 yards.
And they've kept the ball from the very beginning of this half.
So, yeah, there you go. I mean, we're down to the 8-minute, 40-second mark. So this has been a long, sustained drive. And the handoff, breaking tackles, and still on his feet and close to the goal line
Run by number 3, Richard.
Is Fitzhugh, and the quarterback was hit immediately as he got the ball.
Yeah, Irvin McGuire, I think, was in there right before Kevin Huff was able to get the ball. Good penetration by McGuire, but look at Fitzhugh. This is good, strong, powerful running. I mean, he just lowers his head and decides not to be tackled.
Second down and 2 for Tuskegee.
Got a tired Stillman defense out there right now, Charlie.
Finley, the up back in the eye. Fitzhugh, the second back. Fumble. And it may be a break for Stillman. Let's see who got it back. It is second and goal.
It is
Stillman. So a turnover by Tuskegee right down near the goal line, blows a golden opportunity in the red zone, and a fumble on the exchange between the center. It looked like, and the quarterback, Kevin Huff, and it results in a turnover. It goes in favor of Stillman. You were just talking about the fact that the defense has been on the field the whole second half, and now all of a sudden that's a break you need.
Well, that was a huge play by Brandon Johnson of getting in there and getting that ball, because Huff he never had it coming out of the center snap exchange. But that's the kind of play you need to turn this game around if you're Stillman.
Timeout on the field. We still have an 11-point game. Tuskegee in control, and we'll be back.
Are you in good hands?
You think he saw me?
You're watching ESPNU College Football presented by Allstate, where our score is 17-6 here in Tuscaloosa. Tuskegee on top. And don't forget, Saturday, September 2nd, ESPNU has a full day of college football, and it begins with a couple of games featuring top-ranked teams. First at noon, Division I AA powerhouse Montana opens the season against 16th-ranked Hawkeyes of Iowa. Then at 3:30, Florida Atlantic takes on Clemson. College football presented by Allstate, Saturday, right here on ESPNU. First down and 10, and Charles McCullum back in the lineup after going out in the first half with a shoulder injury. And he's calling the offense. He's got his team set at the 2. And the handoff to new running back in the lineup, and that is Lonnie Collier, a senior out of Brandon, Mississippi, number 11. And look at the numbers on McCullum before he went out. At one time, he was 7 of 7. Perfect in the passing department. He still went out with 9 of 12, 155 yards, a touchdown, and 37 yards rushing. Was the team's leading rusher there.
Well, they need some of that magic again from McCullum. He has an opportunity here to drive the ball. It's a long drive they would have to have, but they need some points.
Now we're going to have a delay of game penalty. So that's half the distance to the goal line. So the ball is just at the 4-yard line now. So it's going to march him back to the 2.
Halfway to the goal line.
And they got to get the plays in a lot quicker. And in this area, you can't afford to give up any ground.
First drive, 72 yards. Since then, 5 plays, 107 yards. So, and incomplete. In out of the hands of Philip Bryant. Made a valiant. That's Mims rather. Jason Mims. Jason's second time heard footsteps, huh?
And that was a tough pass for him to catch, I think. But when you look at this, McCullum tried to go to him the initial time, and then a defender came in front, but he may have heard some of those footsteps again. Got to try to come up with those.
And here we have a couple of replacements. Kenneth Brown and Darren Clark coming into the lineup. Mims comes to the sideline. Somebody should come out. Somebody else needs to come out of there. Oh, there we go. Finally, Rodney Robinson, the tight end, comes out. Now we're going to get movement. Substitution. Illegal substitution. That's half the distance to the goal line. You can't go back much further than the 1.
You got to get Rodney Robinson out quicker once they broke the
well, yeah,
huddle.
2 people went in and only 1 came out, so you knew somebody else had to come out.
They had 2 tight ends in, and one of the tight ends stayed in.
Philip Bryant will check back in now at the tight end spot. Kenneth Brown along with Darren Clark at the bottom of your screen. From the end zone, letting it fly, and it's caught, and a flag is down by Kenneth Brown. What an arm displayed by McCollum, and what concentration by Kenneth Brown.
You know what Kenneth Brown did, though, Charlie? He got in front of Micah Hill and used his body and shielded him off at the same time and made the catch. And that's why the pass interference came.
42 yards.
Now he's going to get knocked down with the pressure coming up the middle. Jonathan Hall is trying to knock him down.
Make it 40 yards on the catch and run.
But McCollum has the wherewithal to get the ball off. But you may not see it, but Kenneth Brown does a very good job of using body positioning in front of Micah Hill and just keeping in front of him and not allowing him to get to the football.
And that's the second big catch Kenneth Brown has made today.
Great concentration. He gets back on the train track. He's running off and stays in front and not allow the defensive back to run through him.
And you see how important just on that play alone that Charles McCollum is to this Stillman team. Here's a timeout on the field with 6:05 remaining here in the third quarter. 17-6 is our score. McCollum electrifying the crowd here in Tuscaloosa. 17-6, third quarter, 6:05 to go. Stillman just got from deep in their own end zone on a 40-yard pass from McCollum to Kenneth Brown, and now they're facing first down and 10 at their own 41. From the shotgun, McCollum works. The handoff on the counter play goes to Lonnie Collier, and Collier is stopped after maybe a half a yard on the play.
Trying to keep that defense honest, and Collier now is in the game. They tried Michael Dawson and Derek Rogers in the first half, and Dawson showed some ability, and Rogers never really could get his game going. Now you can see Michael Dawson coming back in the game.
Dawson coming back in the game, as is Marcus Bryant checking back in at the wide receiver spot on 2nd down and 9. Again, working from the shotgun. That's a play I think McCollum maybe took off a little bit too soon. And that was one of the things in talking to Coach Greg Thompson about, was he had to coach him out of running too soon. Because quarterbacks sometimes, when they have good running ability and they are fast, they decide, they don't take the time to wait till the receiver gets open. If it's not there when they first look, they're gone.
Their clock is as fast or not faster than it should be. Instead of a 4-second time, they give themselves only 3 seconds and they're gone.
That's it. And I think maybe that's what happened in that case. 3rd down and 10, unless it was a design draw. Right now, though, 3rd and 10 at the 41-yard line. A little more patience this time. Steps up, rifles a bullet, and has it complete for a first down to Marcus Bryant down to the 46-yard line. So Marcus Bryant gives him a first down, and the quarterback a little slow and getting up now. And one of the defensive players is slow. That's big number 98. That's Atron Jackson, the preseason first-team All-SIAC selection. The senior out of Columbus, Georgia, leading returning tackler for the Tuskegee Golden Tigers.
I tell you what, McCollum did a very good job of scoring the shoulders and firing the football in there. And, he's done that a couple of times now with some major pressure on him. And when Atron's coming after you, you hope all it is for him is that he got the wind knocked out of him.
There's Atron. He's sitting up under his own power there. Here's Marcus Bryant. Of course, Philip and his brother Marcus. Let's go back to when they were in junior high school. They were a tandem then. They're a tandem now. 32 and 33 respectively. Philip on the left, Marcus on the right. Looked like Philip grew a little bit there, a little more so. And here they are today, number 84, number 3 respectively. 53 passes between them, and 7 touchdowns a year ago for Stillman College, and they've done the job so far this afternoon.
Well, I mean, you look at it. Marcus with 5 receptions, over 100 yards, and Philip with the 1 touchdown that Stillman has today.
And a couple of catches. And breaking into the secondary is Bush. I should say Dawson.
Yeah, Reggie Bush.
I got caught, didn't I? They caught me, didn't I? I knew it was going to happen.
Well, you know, it just so happens, too, that you would lead credence to someone in our truck who attended USC, and he wants us to make reference to Reggie Bush, but he did look a little bit similar to Reggie Bush. Thank you, Jason Wald. That was a nice run. Michael Dawson getting out in open air. I mean, that's what they're trying to do, and they want him in those situations.
Yeah, I knew Jason would appreciate me saying that. Here's a little swing pass out to Dawson this time, and he manages to get back to the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play.
All kidding aside, though, Dawson is running on that. This is his first college game. He's getting a chance to get in there and play, and every time he does, he's going to make one or two people miss.
And he's gaining experience, valuable experience, and when you see a true freshman, you know, like him with his type of ability, you know, and he's going to be around for 3 more years.
Well, and they need their run game to improve too. They only average 118 yards.
And that was the thing that one of the things that Coach wanted to do when he took over was improve that running game, because they didn't think it was where it should be. Here's a pass complete all the way down to this one going to Kenneth Brown. Another reception. This is a young man who transferred from FAMU also. He was there at FAMU with McCollum. Yep. They went high school together at LaGrange High up in, I should say Frederick Douglass High up in Atlanta. But, you know, Jones didn't play. Oh, Brown, rather. Kenneth Brown didn't play much at FAMU.
Interesting story there, too. His father died when he was in high school. He and both Charles McCollum became very close to Kevin Bell, who we talked about earlier, the running backs coach.
There's a little flip out of the backfield to Lonnie Collier. Lonnie Collier is not going to gain anything. He's going to lose yards on that one.
The one thing I'm impressed with Tuskegee's defense is you always see when they have those flare out passes or those screens, it seems to be 3, 4, 5 guys right there. They fly to the football, and they make you have to make plays against them.
You know, it's kind of interesting. You talk about McCollum. He got his baptism of fire in college. As we look at the pursuit here,
that's where you talk about guys getting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys around the football. A-Tron coming up trying to clean it up.
We'll finish that story about the baptism of fire for McCollum in a moment. If they can pick up this first down from the shotgun. There's a flare pass out in the, and a nice attempt for it, and we're going to get interference. It may be offensive, though. Let's see.
No, I think Marcus Bryant did a good job of trying to swim over and come back, and I think they're going to call that on the defense.
You think so?
I think so.
All right, we'll see what happens. Marcus Bryant working.
That's a savvy move by a veteran receiver. He's going to do a good job of swimming the defender. Watch, he doesn't put his hand. He really just kind of touches him and moves over. And I don't know if it's really even pass interference.
Yeah,
that's the part that I had a question about.
Whether it's interference. That's why I said if it's anything, I thought it may have been offensive, not defensive.
My thought on that is let it play.
Yeah, Kyle Robinson is the man who's going to be charged with the pass interference with a penalty.
21 defense.
But let's go back to that, what I was going to say about McCollum.
Automatic first down.
He got his baptism of fire at Florida A&M. And Ben Daugherty was the quarterback of record at FAMU when McCollum went there. They were playing the University of Florida. Ben Daugherty got hurt, and that's who McCollum went in and replaced. What a way to start your college career against Florida, right? The Gators.
In the swamp.
McCollum running down to the 5. This is a 1st and 10 or second down.
Another good thing about Bryant on that play was he allowed himself to try to make a play on the ball. I don't think the pass interference existed. It wasn't there. But what I'm saying is, as a receiver, you're always taught to get inside position so you can make a play on the ball. Now McCollum has a chance in open space. And he always, what I like about him, Charlie, is that he doesn't look at the first guy. He's already by the first guy. He's got bayou ability. He's not down by the bayou. His ability to get by.
Right. 217 yards. Only one possession for each team here in the second half. And this third quarter is almost over. Lost the helmet. I think the defender thought he had the ball, but he had a helmet.
But that pursuit from the Tuskegee defense is coming up at key times, and that's another one right there. They need a score. They need a touchdown. And look at this defense. You have all these defenders coming. Not good pickup by Collier right there. That allows guys to get in front. Brian King to be the first one. Another freshman getting a chance to play by fire, and helmets coming off.
It was so funny. He grabbed the helmet, thought he had the ball. When he found out it was not the ball, he got mad. He threw the helmet down. Under 30 seconds to go in the half. And we have illegal substitution again by Stillman College. Greg Thompson saying, what in the world is going on out there? Come on over here, let's talk.
First game, a lot of mistakes, but Stillman with still a chance to score here and get back into the game.
One of the things, though, that Tuskegee's defense has done is not allowed Stillman to run on him. Only 42 yards they've given up all game long.
And last year, they were also able to hold quarterbacks to only 43% or 42.4% passing. McCullum has done a much better job in the passing game than Stillman has done in the running game.
We've got offsides. Now let's see if they're going to call, because the offensive lineman moved. And let's see if they're going to call the defense caused it. Now they're going to call illegal procedure.
Brian Johnson, 63, freshman out of Selma, Alabama.
False start on Stillman, 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, they keep shooting themselves in the foot here. We've got 0.2 of a second left here on the clock.
It has been the story.
That's it. That's going to be the end of the quarter.
Tuskegee's defense, every time they get challenged, come up with a way to make a play.
Tuskegee 17, Stillman College 6.
So that's the end of 3 quarters here. 15 minutes of football remaining in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with Stillman trailing at home by 11 to Tuskegee. Some of the action here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, starting early today with the tailgating, the halftime with the band, and of course some big plays on the field right now. 17-6 is our score as we start the 4th and final quarter here on the campus of Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
And ladies and gentlemen,
it is a 3rd down facing
3rd and goal from the 28-yard line.
Stillman College, 3rd and goal from the 23. McCullum with room, throws a little bit too big. He almost could have taken off and ran with that, couldn't he?
He really could have, and I think he saw Kenneth Brown. He said, I have a chance to make this play here.
This is a drive that started way back on their own, too. Remember, Tuskegee took the second half kickoff, drove down the field, got to the 2-yard line, fumbled the ball, and Stillman recovered, and they drove down the length of the field. So there's only been 2 possessions, one by either team here in the second half.
And now Stillman is going to go for it on 4th and essentially 23 yards, because that's the only thing they can do. They have to score a touchdown.
Well, they can't rely on the field goal kicker. They've got a youth in their kicking game, and they had Kenneth Brown isolated one-on-one. He just didn't get the ball to it. And they may try to go that way again. Here's a fade. Kenneth slowed up, and then he stopped. I think if he'd have kept going, he might have had a chance. But he slowed up, and the ball was in the air. So that drive stalls at the 23 of Tuskegee.
Good defense by Michael Hill out of Dallas Carter High School.
That is the 3rd time today that Stillman drives has ended on downs. Their second possession, they fumbled the ball away. They punted only once. They fumbled, and then 2 more by down.
If you want to second guess it, what you would say is maybe on 3rd down, get some yards, and then try to go for that touchdown on the 4th down.
14:47 to go. It's Tuskegee on top.
The HP Pavilion DV2000T. Call 1-800-525-MyHP.
Tuskegee on top here, 17-6, along with Charles R. Buckle. I'm Charlie Neal here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And of course, Tuskegee, famous for the Tuskegee Airmen, the first African Americans to qualify as military pilots in any branch of the armed forces. They Flew more than 15,000 missions and aviation courses established at the college in 1939. They destroyed over 1,000 German aircraft. And of course, Tuskegee University celebrating its 125th anniversary today, founded in 1881, over 3,000 students, and they are in the SIAC.
Great story on HBO too, with those guys, and showing the Tuskegee Airmen with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh yeah. And they've had some great alumni.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about Chappie James and Tom Joyner and Ray Nagin, the mayor of Atlanta, New Orleans rather, Lionel Richie and Keenan Ivory Wayne, and all graduated from Tuskegee. Here's a pitch back, and what a great defensive play down there by Devion McCoy.
It was a whole assortment of actors. Cuba Gooding Jr. is one, Lawrence Fishburne, Malcolm Jamal Warner. It was a great assortment of guys that played those roles. But right now on the football field, you see, good tackle, good play.
Decline. Well, they took the penalty. I would think he might decline and make him go to second down since he made such a great play in the backfield.
Larry Albert with a nice play. He's been in that backfield quite a bit. He was Stillman's Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Led the SIAC in tackles per game a year ago, 9.9. First down and 15. Huff from the gun. Huff wants to take off and run. That was a Zion run all the way. Stephen Freeman was in the backfield with him, number 24, a freshman out of Homewood, Alabama. A gain of 4 to be 2nd and 11.
Now, the one thing Stillman can't do is allow Tuskegee to have a long, drawn-out drive. They have to stop him and get in there and make a play, get a turnover like they've been able to do, but they can't wait for a long time.
Well, you know what is ironic? When you talk about maybe the defense of Stillman bending, but they haven't broken because most of all the points have come because of turnovers by Stillman that Tuskegee was able to take advantage of, but they have not allowed the offense to really do anything today. And here's a pass, though. That's complete to Lorenzo Crawford, and a shoe was lost in the process.
The other thing, too, is if you go deep and you challenge Witherspoon and Hurd, they're both track guys. So if they catch the ball on an interception,
watch out.
Yeah, the thing that Huff is doing a good job of are the short intermediate routes where it's not a chance for them to break on the ball or guess and make an interception.
When you asked Greg Thompson about strengths and weaknesses of his team, he says, the weakness is overall speed of the defense. Even though his secondary is fast as all get up, it's the overall speed of the defense, talking about linebackers and defensive linemen. And here's a loss on the play, and that is Stephen Freeman on the carry.
Number 97, Chandler Blakely.
Chandler Blakely on the stop defensively, number 97. He broke his leg against Bethune-Cookman last year and had to go through considerable rehab. It was a bad break from what I understand, some considerable rehab to get back on the field this year, and has done a pretty good job. Business administration major from Butler, Alabama, went to Choctaw County High in Butler. Second down.
He's had a good game. We've called his name. He's been real stout in the middle, not allowed much running inside by Tuskegee.
High snap, pulled down by Huff, and the catch made for first down by John Thomas, or just close to the first down. He had to get to the 45, and it's going to be very close to see if he made it. It is a first down.
Charlie, the pace of the players in this game has slowed down considerably.
This Tuskegee team not only was the leading scoring team in the SIAC and passing offense and total offense last year, but they were 32nd in the nation in all of Division II in total offense. They were 35th in passing efficiency, 36th in scoring offense, and ranked 27th nationally in punting. So they had some national numbers that they put up. Here's a blitz, and the tackle missed, and Larry Albert misses the tackle, and the pass is complete in the meantime to Jason English.
That was a nice play by Huff for making Albert miss.
Oh, yeah, Albert misses him, and then he completes the long pass all the way down to about the 15-yard line, make it to 16.
Well, whenever you have a blitz and it doesn't get to you and the quarterback finds that open receiver, which is right there, Jason English, and English calls for the ball a la Randy Moss after he gets past the defensive back, and he's able to beat Devion McCoy deep for a nice gain.
And there's Kevin Huff. Last year it was 4 of 21. This year 13 of 22. Already completed 9 more passes than a year ago. 39 yards on that pass completion, and now they get to him this time.
Charlie, that's usually the case. Blitzing defenses can give you a lot of problems, but if you find the open guy, all it takes is 1 or 2 plays, and we saw that at the end of the half, and we also just saw that on that blitz. When Larry Albert doesn't make it there, normally that play goes for a loss. You're talking about the next play. That was a big, long game.
39 yards, and then, of course, like you said, they get to him on the next play, but you're talking about a game of inches. Larry Albert, that was the game of inches, wasn't it?
Well, Larry Albert is their guy they like to send on the blitz. He had 17 tackles for loss last year, 5 sacks. Not a true big outside linebacker.
No, he's
but
only 195.
Yeah,
right.
They got him listed at 210, but he's got to be 185, 190 soaking wet. But he can get to the quarterback and make plays.
And now we have a penalty. I missed it, what the official was saying, but it's being marked off against Stillman College. And it moves the ball a little closer to the goal line. Remember the last time that Tuskegee had the ball to start the second half, they drove all the way down the field and they fumbled the ball at 2 before taking it in. They failed to score, so this is only their second possession of the second half. This drive started at their own 23. They're now at the 12 of Stillman. Here's Huff, going to the left, turning back in, brought down from behind. Big number 66 for Stillman there on the stop. That's Dumias. Normally starts at that linebacker spot. Anshawn Glenn make that 56. Anshawn Glenn was the man who started at that position today.
Harvey Logan also did a good job of turning it inside, not allowing Huff to get any further outside.
You saw the yards for the 2 teams today. Here's Huff again trying to go up the middle. He's hit and then finally dropped.
By number 4, Kevin Huff, brought down by number 49, Anshawn Glenn.
There's Anshawn Glenn.
You saw again on that play, and we saw it earlier, Huff is not a little guy.
No, he's not.
At 6'2", 218, you got to wrap him up.
In fact, both of these quarterbacks have pretty good size. McCollum comes in at 6'3". He's a little taller, but he's a little thinner at 205.
Huff is more built lower, you know, his legs are bigger, he's stronger. So when he gets inside, he runs. And, you know, if you look at him, there's some similarity to me when I look at Huff compared to Tavares Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
The quarterback now that was with Alabama State, now with the Minnesota Vikings in their camp, having a very good camp. And I think, you know, when you talk to the guys around Tuskegee's program, they really feel like he has a chance to play at the next level if he's given the right opportunity.
And I think both of these quarterbacks have that ability to play at the next level.
And that's the one thing you talk about with McCollum and Huff. A few years ago, they would have never gotten discovered. But more and more black quarterbacks are playing in the league. You have more people in position like James Harris.
And from HBCUs.
Yeah. Exactly. But you also have more guys like James Harris from HBCU who played at Grambling, Doug Williams in personnel roles where they will go to these different schools and find good talent.
Don't forget Thursday night, head coach Pat Fitzgerald makes his coaching debut at Northwestern as they visit the former Wildcat coach, the late Randy Walker's alma mater, Miami of Ohio. It's college football primetime, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. It comes your way Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on ESPNU. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. And here's the handoff going into the end zone, I believe. Number 32 is to Jason Finley, the senior out of Opelika, Alabama. And for him, his first touchdown
And that's a touchdown for this.
Yeah. Comes from about 3 yards out. And that extends the score to 23-6. Echeverry in for the point after. Terrence Stringer holding. The kick is up. And this one is automatic for Mr. Echeverry. 24-6 is our score. So they drive 77 yards. And they put 7 points on the board and extend their lead. Tuskegee in control here. 10:31 left in the contest. Tuskegee with his first sustained offensive drive of the day. And they drive 77 yards down the field on a 9-play drive. And they get into the end zone on Jason Finley's 3-yard run. As you look at Echeverry. Echeverry only one PAT missed a year ago. 97%, 41 of 42. Missed only one field goal. He was 13 of 14. And the one he missed was against Stillman. That one field goal last year. Here's the long kickoff. Comes to the near side to Witherspoon. Witherspoon trying to get to the outside. The track star gets back to the middle of the field. Still on his feet. Breaks another tackle and is finally brought down at the 35-yard line. But what an exciting return before Clifton Sanders made the stop to save the day.
Finally got a chance to see him in open field.
He certainly did. Time out on the field. 10:15 to go at the 36-yard line. Stillman will have the ball when we come back. ESPNU College Football is presented by Allstate. Are you in good hands? And in part by Dr. Pepper, with 23 flavors in every Dr. Pepper. There's more to it. 10:16 the time remaining. 24-6 Tuskegee in control, but Stillman with the ball right now. First down and 10 at their own 36-yard line and trying to get something going. Remember, their quarterback, Charles McCollum, sat out a good portion of the second quarter after getting injured. Has come back here in the second half, but the team hasn't been able to get anything going, and the receiver, Lonnie Collier, fell down. And we're trying to get the screen pass going.
Well, Charlie, they need something down the field, and I would think everything is vertical now because you have so many things times you have to score. You know, and it doesn't look like a screen is going to work much for them. That's just keeping Tuskegee's defense honest. They're really coming after McCollum now.
Darren Clark is checked back in the lineup as they break the huddle. Marcus Bryant will go to the top. Here's screen. Kenneth Brown is to the bottom. Clark is in the slot to the top. And out of the backfield, they get it to Collier. But Collier's not going to have anywhere to go because the defense was right there and stiffened Jonathan Hall, the middle linebacker, number 55, the freshman out of LaFleur High in Mobile, Alabama, a walk-on who replaces Marcus Wright. Comes in to make the stop.
Well, and Tuskegee's going to give you those opportunities. But if you're Stillman, you have to get down the field at least the secondary level. Some 15-yard ends, some turns, some routes that are challenging vertically, because if you don't, they're going to let you make that catch and then come up and swallow you, stop you.
They say you only gain one on that play. It'll be 3rd and 9. The blitz is coming. Wide open on the reception. This side is Darren Clark, and Darren Clark is thrown down hard, and they're going to get a penalty against Tuskegee. Thrown down by the shoulder pads, and that is a no-no. Number 15, Lee Smith, one of the guilty defenders.
That's the one way they don't want guys tackling anymore, especially with Roy Williams and some of the things that he's been able to do as far as grabbing guys by the back of the shoulder pad. Unless he got his face mask, I couldn't see.
Yeah, they did say face mask.
That's what I thought. The way Clark's neck snapped back.
That is a personal foul.
Good throw, good catch. And then on the tail end, Lee Smith reaches for
Oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah. And it looked like he got his face mask and his hair. I mean, it looked like
a very good possibility.
He was pulling on both, yeah.
We got all the hair going.
He got Clark's hair.
So the drive and the penalty after the completion to Clark moves the ball all the way down to the 27, 1st and 10.
That's the kind of play you need. I mean, you need to make those plays and get the ball in the end zone and onside kick or do whatever you have to do to try to get the ball back.
Still time with 9:15 to go here in the 4th quarter.
Lee Smith has some technical difficulties with those cleats. He's spatted up, so to speak, and they're starting to coming off.
Incomplete. It was the tight end, Philip Bryant, the intended receiver, but or was that Arthur Harris coming out of the backfield, the fullback? We're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for this SIAC matchup between Tuskegee University and Stillman College, Stillman Stadium, along with Charles Arbuckle. I'm Charlie Neal. 9:07 is the time remaining, and the second half offense time of possession 9 minutes and 20 seconds. This is their second possession of the second half, but they have not been able to get it into the end zone.
And really, their kicking game doesn't give you much either.
No, that's why I said you can't rely on that to help you out there. Wide open in the middle for a first down. Another completion, and I believe that was Marcus Bryant on the reception, number 3. Yes.
Bryant has been there every time they've needed a big play. Either he or Kenneth Brown have been the ones to come up with those catches. You can clearly see who McCollum feels comfortable with.
And that is a first down. It moves the chains, and it's spotted, the ball that is, at the 11-yard line. First down and 10, so they can conceivably get a first down without scoring. Ball at the 11. Just threw it away. Had a defender draped all over him. That was big number 99, Kareem Anderson, the junior from Atlanta.
You know, McCollum, as wiry as he is, he's a lot stronger than he looks. He's gotten away a few times from some of those big defensive linemen.
Anderson at 294.
But the problem is he always seems to roll to the right.
It's like basketball when you're defending, so make him go left. You can't dribble left.
No. And I don't know if he wants to go left with the shoulder.
We have seen him go left a couple times.
But he hasn't really done it as well.
But it's kind of harder to get your body around because you got to square up to get the ball out. And there's an interception. The defender leaping at its highest point, coming down with it for Tuskegee. The number 27, Gerard Simpson.
Well, they like to try to get this matchup when they get down to the goal line. The backup third-string quarterback, Vernon Jones, is 6'5". Jared Simpson is 5'10", but Simpson goes for the ball, and Jones never goes up to try to attack the football.
Yeah, ball was just a little high, but Gerard Simpson, who replaced Robert Durham, who was a backup and backed up Lee Smith last year, is the one who came up with the interception. In fact, he had a game-ending tackle in the Pioneer Bowl against Bowie State to preserve the win for the Tuskegee Golden Tigers. Had a big day against Alabama State on the Turkey Day Classic last Thanksgiving in Montgomery.
Tuskegee can hold on. This will be their 8th victory in a row.
From their own 20. The pitch back to the right side. New running back in the ball game.
Run by number 34, David George. Number 31, Eric Long.
That's Eric Long. Fullback out of Phoenix City, Alabama.
Alabama's weightlifting champion when he was in high school. Throw up some of that iron.
So the clock ticking down to 7:35. A golden opportunity not taken advantage of by Stillman as they moved all the way down to the red zone. And again, number 31 on the carry is Eric Long.
And Charlie, you mentioned it earlier. I think that's the third time on downs they've given the ball over. And
then this interception.
That's 4 times where they come up with.
Well, the last 4 possessions for Stillman, they drove down to the Tuskegee 24, fumbled to the Tuskegee 39, turned it over on downs to the Tuskegee 23, turned it over on downs to the Tuskegee, I believe that was the 11, and they had the interception. So, I mean, those are the types of things that come back to haunt you.
And you'll say, well, we should have won this game. But when you have those opportunities and you get in almost inside the red zone in those areas where the red zone presents itself and you have all those penalties to take you back, you only hurt yourself.
It is 3rd down. And now Tuskegee, I believe, calls a timeout. They want to talk things over. You know, you're talking about this Tuskegee team. And we spoke earlier about the new coaches, 2 new coaches as far as head coaches at the respective schools. The SIAC had 3 coaching changes this year, 3 brand new head coaches, in addition to Willie Slater and Greg Thompson. DeAndre Clark goes over to Fort Valley from Shaw University. We'll be back to Stillman College in Tuscaloosa. 6:42 left in the contest.
Energizer E² Lithium keeps going.
With 6:42 to go in this contest, 24-6 Tuskegee. They're in control, and they have a 3rd down facing them, 3rd and 3 at their own 27-yard line after the interception. Huff with the quick pass out in the flat and very close to the 1st down. May have it as it's complete to Lorenzo Crawford, who got across the 30 to the 31-yard line before being tackled.
He's become real comfortable with Lorenzo Crawford.
Yes, he has.
You know, they made fast friends. Last year he had 11 catches for 85 yards and 1 TD, but that 1 touchdown at the end of the half, and now he's just really come back to him more and more.
Well, one of the things that Kevin Huff had last year was Calvin Russell, who's now with the Green Bay Packers, and he had Kenneth Henderson. You know, Henderson had 78 catches last year and 8 touchdowns, and Calvin Russell had 42 receptions. And they lost that potency in terms of that offense, as you see Eric Long carrying the ball, and you thought that was going to be an Achilles heel for them this year. But when you have guys like Thomas and Lorenzo Crawford, Sean Bailey, and Jason English stepping up, they haven't missed a beat.
And I agree with you. I mean, you have a new coordinator coming in, a new coach, and Willie Slater. You're changing your style. You got a new quarterbacks coach. There's a lot of things they put in a really relatively short amount of time. The NCAA doesn't allow you to have unlimited practice time, so you had to do Skelly or 7-on-7 in the summer and work through all of those things in the preseason and the spring. So they haven't had a lot of true game time together.
No, they have not. And again, Eric Long getting some work here late in the contest with under 5.5 to go.
And I don't think they changed the offense a whole lot, but they wanted to put, Willie Slater wanted to put his touches on it. They wanted to add some of the spread offense, some of the quick step drops, because last year with Henderson and Russell, it gave them the opportunity to go deep. Those guys could get down the field, and Huff would find them that way. Now they have to retool their offense a little bit and work it a little bit differently.
Yeah, Huff was the leading passer in the conference a year ago. #1 passer in total offense, also in 3rd in passing efficiency. And nationally, Huff was 11th in total offense, 297 yards per game. Pretty good. And again, Eric Long getting some work. So Jason Finley and Richard Fitzhugh started the game, but we've seen Freeman and Eric Long come in and get some carries here. And of course, you need to have those backups see some action.
Well, we talked about keeping Huff alive, letting him play and work through everything, and he's done that. It didn't start well, but it's ended well. Stillman don't believe the hype. I think they got caught up in the whole game and an opportunity to have a game here with ESPNU and all of those things, but didn't take care of business when they had opportunities in those 3 down, giving up downs there, and then also turnovers.
But the offensive line,
they showed well.
They showed well. Was, they thought, maybe going to be one of the weaknesses for Stillman with all the new faces in the offensive line, as Huff is back to pass on 2nd down and has it complete to Crawford. Crawford still on his feet inside the 40, fumbles the ball and is picked up by Stillman, and Stillman now coming back up the field with it. Donate Hurd, and Hurd is finally dropped at the 42-yard line. So a big change of events and another turnover. The third turnover for Tuskegee.
And that will be a first down for Stillman College.
So Stillman gets a break right now. Under 4 minutes to go. Not a lot of time, but Tuskegee was driving as Crawford had a big reception and was on his way.
We're going to see Vernon Jones now. McCullum's shoulder pads are off. He's on the sideline. That shoulder was bothering him too much, and now you're going to see Vernon Jones, the intended receiver on that last interception, now the quarterback.
Back to pass, throws, and it's incomplete. Vernon Jones, a sophomore out of Fournette Springs, Florida.
They like his size and his ability, and he also, you know, they try to use him in different spots. When
Size,
they get down,
he's 6'5". He should be playing for the basketball team.
So when they get him in the red zone, they want to try to create matchup problems. That's where they use him there, but also at quarterback. We saw Quentin Wright earlier, but they really feel like Vernon Jones can be one of those guys down the road. To be a very good player here.
And they keep the ball on the ground, running it straight ahead.
Brought down by number 44.
I think it's a good opportunity for him to get in and get some game experience as well.
You know, and sometimes in situations like this, you know you're down by 18 points. You're not going to win the game, and you get some people who may have to come in and play. I mean, you have some backup running backs in there right now.
And with McCullum being injured earlier, you don't want to expose him to anything more, so losing him for the season.
Right.
In situations like that.
Trying to set up the screen, looking, threw it a little bit too high. That's what Joe Biggs Jr., the fullback coming out of the backfield, couldn't get it. That's what you call the headache ball. Catch that, you're going to have a headache. It strips you out there.
Hey, he's going to come back and tell him, BJ, man, put it down just a little bit. I thought we were friends.
First thing that Vernon Jones did, come over the sideline and got next to Coach. Did I do okay, Coach? And here's the punt, the second punt of the day for Stillman College, and the punter was Marcus Bryant. He is not the designated punter.
Wonder if he won the punt, pass, and kick competition when he was growing up.
He might have.
Definitely can catch the football. He's shown pretty well in the punting game, too.
So from their own 23 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this contest, Tuskegee will have the ball 24-6. Greg Thompson, former assistant at Clark Atlanta Southern University, said when he got the job, the president said, I don't want a 2-year plan. This honeymoon's over quick. We need to win right away. And here's our DirecTV player of the game, Kevin Huff from Tuskegee University. His stats for the day, 15 of 24. And he shows very well. He's still in the ball game. No, he's not. They took him out. And now off and running. Right now, Ja'Carry Atkinson is the quarterback in the ball game right now. And that handoff went to Richard Fitzhugh. Now let's look at some of the highlights from Kevin Huff and why he's our DirecTV player of the game.
The ability to throw the ball down the field when the defense falls asleep, so to speak, and then also the running. He's able to run the football. And that's what makes him so effective in that spread option offense. The throwing and the running of Kevin Huff is the reason why he's our DirecTV player of the game.
Ja'Carry Atkinson in the lineup as you look at Huff on the sideline now, who had over 1,000 yards running and passing in high school. He's trying to keep the ball and run, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, loses maybe a half a yard. He was redshirted 2 years ago, played in 2 games last year, and only completed 3 passes.
Same body size type of a Kevin Huff, and it's probably good for him to learn, you know, from a guy like Kevin Huff.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 205. sophomore from Valley High in Valley, Alabama. Clock continuing to tick down. Hope you've enjoyed our first game of the 2006 college football season right here on ESPNU. Stillman, they eliminate some of the mistakes. They make it a ball game.
Yeah, they do. And I think that's the one thing that's disappointing for them. All the mental mistakes and the mistakes as a whole. You thought their offensive line wouldn't be as strong, but they showed pretty well. It was all the other things that they did and didn't allow themselves to do that they can work on and improve. And they would have been right in this ball game. Tuskegee on the other end, they started out slow, but when they decided to wake up, it was their defense that made the difference for them today.
Since 1999, when they revised the program, this is the first time that Stillman has lost a home opener or season opener at home. They were 4-3 in season openers. And then they just gave the coach on the far sideline the Gatorade bath or some kind of water bath over there. I saw him jumping around.
Well, and that's his first win as a head coach.
First head coaching job, yeah.
So he's got to be excited.
Willie Slater. Yes, indeed. Congratulations to Willie Slater picking up his first win.
Well, when I talked to him before the game, that was the one thing he kept saying, you know, said, I'm a little nervous, and rightfully so, but he was happy that he had an opportunity with this group of guys. That's the one thing he talked about. He said, I got a good group of guys. I just don't know what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to it.
24-6 the final here, and the debut of both head coaches at their respective schools. Willie Slater, congratulations. He wins his first as a head coach. For Charles Arbuckle and the entire ESPN production team, Charlie Neal saying so long from Stillman Stadium on the campus of Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Again, the final score, 24-6, and congratulations to Tuskegee, the Golden Tigers, and their quarterback, Kevin Huff, our DirecTV player of the game. Don't forget, coming up, 2006 high school football. It's Belgrade Central against Burns. Again, so long from Tuscaloosa.
Fernandez, another big pickup, this time 17 yards. Yet another Rebel first down, and it looks, Tom, as if Coors is picking apart this defense.
He is right now, and I think the number one thing we got to talk about here, Coach, is accuracy. He has been dead on the money in the short to intermediate passing game. So much patience, as you see here. They move the pocket with him, just buys just enough time to get rid of that football and get a huge gain, get them in the red zone here.
On first down. Like his teammates Thompson and Brian Mann, not committing yet as to where he's going to go to school.
You got a situation here where they've had some low punts. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Burns come after this kick here.
DeAndre Holly will punt deep in his territory. Rico Sanders, the deep man this time. Sudduth had taken a couple of punts. Sanders loses his helmet and gets drilled.